Greetings and shalom. It's real late in the night, seeing that a new day starts in the morning when the sun rises. And what do we read about the morning star? Until the morning star rises in your heart, until Messiah is the morning star. He said so. That's enough for me. He is the he's the bright morning star, the bright and shining lamp. So then the Father and Messiah need to rise in our heart now, tomorrow, continually, and he will, because there's a resurrection, and that's what his people have hope in and believe. First a little bit, and then a little more, and then a little more, and then a little more. That's the kingdom of heaven growing. A small belief like a tiny seed. And then all the other truths in his word, all of them, start out as like a seed. Not everything sprouts at the same time. Even the creation teaches that, of which the Father created with wisdom. So some things sprout later, after someone believes, which is the kingdom of heaven sprouting, which is the Father dwelling in his people, his spirit in us. If indeed someone has his spirit, like we also read, if, for a reason. So some things sprout later, and that's the Father giving new things or adding to older things, like building a house, adding to that first foundation that was laid, that seed. From that root, everything grows out of and sprouts. And the root is the foundation in a tree, in a plant. And everything is connected to it. Nothing is disconnected. So all his truth is one like this. If one thing is discerned, and it's true, that's why it's so important to discern everything right and perfect. We can't do that without asking him and receiving that gift of discernment and power to do it and see. It needs to be given and asked for to be given. It needs to be asked for to be given. But nevertheless, it has to be given, or else we don't have. We're bankrupt. An empty vessel turned into a vessel of dishonor filled up with the devil instead of with the Creator, with the Father, with Messiah. One of those two ways, the good fish or the bad fish, the good or the evil, the wide gate or the narrow way. Two things only, with no third, lukewarm in the middle. Doesn't exist, but that's where people want to exist. That's where they think they can exist. Going back and forth between both sides, depending on the situation, tossed by every wind of doctrine, like we read, moving in the raging, foaming waves of the sea, with no firm foundation. They're being tossed because they don't put trust in the Creator at all, with all their heart, soul, strength, and mind, as if Messiah was joking when he's teaching the Father's word, quoting from it, teaching from it, the truth. That's what someone has to have. But even for a believer, first it's a little bit, then a little more, and then a little more, and then a little more. That seed, that word, to love the Creator with all the soul, strength, heart, and mind, starts out very small. And then that grows. But it's there, it's true. But the enemy will never see what this means. How? Not as long as they don't believe. They will never be given it. It will be to them a parable, all of it, because Messiah also said all things will be a parable to them. And the way that's working is that parable means they only see the parable itself, the outward, the letters that kill. They never see what it means, the value of it, the meaning. the works, never do the works for the knowledge and the word and the wisdom, never connected. All of it's gone. It's just a parable to someone. Even that they won't think of his word like that, but Messiah is speaking out of truth. For those that can see, believers know this. They learn this, that unbelievers and also us before believing, whoever does believe in this world, can look back and see that that was true with proof, with evidence. Where is the evidence? It's nowhere to be seen. Well, that's pretty stupid, says the enemy. Where's all the evidence for his truth? It just argues over worthless gnats, straining at it and swallowing camels, and something big and important shows up, gulps it down like it didn't even notice. That's what Messiah taught, swallowing camels. When it comes to the big things that matter, that are at the top, it swallowed a camel. It swallowed something huge that mattered, as if it was some bug that it swallowed. It just means nothing, as if it was a speck of dust that it swallowed. Because there's no meaning or value to an unbeliever of anything that's good and big. So it's the largeness of the camel is something huge and important, all his truth, and the greater or lesser things within it, everything in its order. But in contrast to earthly things, worthless things, being compared to heavenly things, they're worthless when we compare it. They don't have any value. They cannot give life. They can only make it look like it at best, that someone has life, has a life. Get a life, loser. Messiah's people are losers to this world. That's how it has to be, sacrificing self and self's image and the denial of self, not worshiping self, because self is the enemy. Like the world says blindly with not any clue what it means when they say we are our own worst enemy. Oh, how badly I would like them to see just how true that is. They don't believe their own words. They don't know what it means. They don't believe that. It's easy to say something about self when someone doesn't believe it themselves, their very own words about themselves. Only I can smash my sandwich comes to mind. Anybody else that does the exact same thing, rage and fury and vengeance from the God man, I will repay, I will take vengeance, God man says, instead of obeying. In Proverbs, one place, do not say to yourself, I will take vengeance, I will repay. So to them, it's a parable. And I have, let me put split screen on my phone here. Need some, took some screenshots of certain parts of a Bible app for scriptures, and a bunch of things were coming to mind throughout the day, and not knowing exactly even where to start. It's just so much. Oops, wrong spot. Okay, photos. Oh, it's really small now. Mark 4:11. I'd like to make it a widescreen on my phone, but I don't know how that'll work for. Well, let me try it. Split screen. I think that's making it big. I don't know for sure. With split screen on, seeing two different apps open at once. Where am I here? It's really small on my phone. And he said to them, to you it has been given. Well, the verse above it is interesting. But when he was alone, those around him with the 12 asked him about the parable above in Mark 4. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. For those that have ears to hear, let them hear. He said to them, to you it has been given to know with knowledge. Word know. The mystery of the kingdom of Elohim, but to those who are outside, where do we read in Revelation? All those outside are the dogs, the sorcerers, everyone who loves and practices a lie. They are outside of the kingdom. Now, all things come in parables, but to those who are outside, now this is assuming someone is outside, and what outside means in truth to those who really are, not what people say, but what they really are. To those who are outside, all things come in parables. That's the best that they will get, because the Father doesn't give someone that hates him and doesn't ask, that doesn't want to seek to do his will. So that, why? We read why. Messiah says why. Seeing they may see and not perceive. That's why. So that they don't see. And hearing they may hear and not understand. That's why. So they don't understand. Lest they should turn and their sins be forgiven them, which is not what someone wants. They don't want to repent and turn to be forgiven. Therefore, why is it come in parables? So that seeing with their carnal eyes that may see and not see, not perceive. Hearing with their carnal ears they may hear and not understand. That's why. Now that's enmity. Church world won't like that at all. They'll hate it with vengeance and fury. And they need to destroy anything that has even remotely a hint of the kingdom of heaven that's really of him. It's a destroyer of truth and a suppressor of all of it. It guards, it puts and guards the way, just like a believer should guard the way. Just like the sword guarding the way in the garden. Father guards his way, and then he gives us to guard the way and guard. We need to guard our heart, guard all his way in our heart. And that means a lot. Keeping his commandments, keeping his word, learning what it means, guarding it, not letting evil enter the temple, of which everyone is a temple, not made with hands. They build temples made with hands because everything's a parable to them. They build a church building and a synagogue like the Jews did, and all the old covenant saints. They built the outwardly thing because they had nothing inwardly, not even one, until Messiah. He was the firstborn from those that were dead, from the dead, and they were all dead. Messiah taught that also, that they were all dead. They got the bread from heaven and they still died. They were dead. It didn't give them the true life. I'm not sure exactly where that is right now, but they were given the bread from heaven and they died. And how can someone understand what that means unless they seek it with all their heart to understand what it means, and not go in haste and rage and come up with an evil doctrine, evil belief and lie that has nothing to do with the truth, which is the only thing that man can do of self. That's it. That's authority from above. The Father will not allow someone to have truth of themselves. It must be given by him directly, because of seeking him, because for turning, repenting every day, believing in him, because we read, die daily, pick up your stake daily, die daily. Why did the apostle say I die daily? Because Messiah taught to die daily, not just once, not to pretend, but every day pick up your stake and die daily with him, so that someone can live, because to die is gain. To be dying to the old man is life, is gain. And to be dying literally is gain, because Father will resurrect them from the dead. This world is always passing away. It's not the true home. It's wicked. It's full of nothing but evil and things the Father hates. It's an abomination to him. These words are against those that don't believe, and yet the Father is not against them in a way that they claim out of evil, but he's against their wickedness and their sin, and it's going to be enmity, and he is against the enemy. There is the truth to that. I will make your enemies will become my enemies, like we read if we do his will, if we trust in him. Our enemies will become we become one with him. Whatever is his enemy will be ours, and then he will protect us from the enemy. He will judge the enemy. He'll make them fall, destroy them within. Their temple will be destroyed so that believers can pass through, and so that his people can be let go from wicked Egypt, let go from the slavery of sin that the world keeps everyone in captive every day, in every job, in every way. He said to them, "Do you not understand this parable? How then will you understand all the parables?" And why does Messiah say this? Because they're all one. If we have a little bit of understanding in one, truly, if that's so, we have a little bit of understanding in them all. And if we have perfect understanding in one, then we will have perfect understanding in all. But of course, the perfection is at the end of a believer's life. To be perfected at the end is what a believer needs to be, is need to live out the very life Messiah lived and be perfected. And all kinds of tests come all the time throughout a believer's life, all the way to the end. They won't stop because that's a lie. Father will make it happen. He's not stopping it. And the biggest test in Messiah's life was at his end, wasn't it? That's when the heavens and the earth was shaking. Within, not without. That doesn't mean anything concerning his truth. An earthquake could happen right now, and it won't mean anything for what his word means for our heart. And what signs will someone see? Well, when that day comes, when those days come for someone, then we'll know more. Because until that, we don't. But he will show his people those signs that you can know it's near. You don't know the day or hour, and neither do I. But a believer will know. They won't be clueless. They will be given to know it's near. And Messiah's time was near. That's why he said this must be so. And they wanted to stop him from that. Get behind me, Satan. Yes, Messiah is going all the way to his death like an insane person without cowardly fear. That takes all strength to do the works of the Father, but especially at Messiah's end, to do that is incredible strength. It's total enmity and abomination to who and what man is. It is the most disgusting thing. It is the most wicked thing in someone's heart. In Adam's heart, it's evil. It's straight up wicked. It only loves the opposite of whatever that is, which is the devil's way, which is the image of the beast. Always selling something that looks like the truth, but spiritually and within, it's the exact opposite. Therefore, it's a deception at all times, the image of the beast. Someday it's coming. Someday it's coming is the only thing that someone's heart can understand that's still in the harlot. It's coming someday. In a way where it's coming where it never has been. That's how it's understood by the natural man. The image of the beast has been true since Adam and Eve sinned, and it's been exactly the same ever since. It's already working today, and it will work tomorrow, and everyone will worship the image of the beast tomorrow that doesn't know the Father. They will. And how can someone see how that's true unless they receive and seek out the understanding of what these words mean, as if they mean nothing for us now, as if there's no truth at all, as if prophecy's not being fulfilled. It is. While the blind are dead in sleep, it's being fulfilled for those who can see. It's not being fulfilled the same way for those that don't believe. They don't see any of it. Even though it happens right before their eyes, they won't believe the things they see because they don't believe yet. Their eyes are shut. Wake up, O sleeper. Some of you sleep, the apostle said, which came to mind because of sin, and everything has to be discerned. It can't be just automatically assumed why this or why that, and every judgment has to be discerned to find out why it's so for self, to receive that from him. What did Messiah teach when the disciples fell asleep? Do his people fall asleep? Yes, they do. It's going to happen. It's already happened. I can say that as a witness to my own life. To be spiritually falling asleep is to start going blind, is to start not seeing. It can all just start going away in like the blink of an eye. And Messiah wakes them up, because when someone's asleep, they don't perceive anything happening in the world, in the real world. There's no perception of time, so this will be something about this will be so in spirit. If someone were to fall asleep, they won't perceive the kingdom of heaven and the things that are happening from day to day. They won't be able to remember because they were asleep. It's pretty frightening. It's pretty frightening. There is no fear in the eyes of the wicked because they're still asleep and dead. This doesn't mean anything to them. They would have to be awake and have life in Messiah to know what this is. They're not learning what this is and what death is and what darkness is and what's to be dead and sleeping is. But the Father can raise the dead, let alone wake up someone from sleep. But sleep is likened to death because he wakes them up, because it's not permanent. So we need to not want to fall asleep, and yet it's going to happen at some point with true believers, all of them. It's going to happen anyways. Who likes that? Who on earth likes that? With no control at all. It's only the Father's way and his things. His word will be true, not our own will or way. It's going to happen whether we like it or not. That's a lot of submission, a word that's an abomination to the carnal man. Submission to the Creator and his way. That's what it is to follow the Lamb, like they talk about in there, and never do. Their works would show if they did. It can be seen whether they're doing that. It can be seen quickly if someone has enough sight to see and aren't being deceived in that moment, because it's easy to be deceived. It's too easy. And it's not hard to fall asleep either. So Messiah wakes them up. And Paul said, some of you sleep because of this. I think he said because of sin, because of something not good. I know that much. And maybe he didn't say sin. I think he did. I'm not sure right now, but that's what's coming to mind. And he also said, wake up, sleeper, wake up from the dead and let Messiah give you life and light. So then we should want to not fall asleep. And if that happens, it's going to be part of the Father's will, but that's not going to change that. It's pretty frightening, though, to know something about it and see that it happened and there was nothing you could do about it while it was happening. How does someone even know whether they're asleep or awake in Messiah? Well, that has to be seen and learned too. We're so blind. A lot of sight has to be healed to see his truth, but it always starts small and then it grows. And then we read that Messiah prays the fruit remains, so that tree always lives, even if it's not producing for a season. It'll come back. It's not going to be uprooted. It'll be there forever. Even in the ages to come, all those things that were built up in this life will stand, and everything else that was not of the Father and not of the kingdom is perishing. It's already perishing. It's already true, and it's going to be true. Yes, when the kingdom comes to wipe out this miserable, wicked way in this world, and it already is here, and yet it's coming. That is the believer's hope and belief. It was, it is to come, the Almighty. It always was true, and it is true, and it will be true. It's coming also, even though it already is. And how could this be so? It's contradicting when you say it with the letters, but it's not. If someone can see what it means, it just sounds contradicting. That's it. It's not actually contradicting. Where's the proof? There is no proof to someone that's blind. There's nothing for them to see. We can't do anything more for you. Messiah says, what would you like me to do for you? You know, if someone's heart is not there, doesn't want to repent, nothing's going to be done for them. They're not going to be given these things. What can we do for you? You turn away from the truth when you see it. Turn away from Messiah when you see him right in front of you. And if someone turns away from him, there's definitely no hope now. You turned away from the only truth that there is. And you is just anybody that would or has done. That's the you, anybody, anyone that doesn't believe. What if they turn away from a believer speaking truth out in this world? They might never see it again. They just turned all hope into the dirt. There's definitely no hope for them if they don't believe now. They're going to have to bear the judgment of Cain and be in the darkness and the shadow of death, like we also read much of in his word. But the Father gives his people light. But then there's going to be times where it doesn't seem like that because someone's falling asleep. And then it's going to seem like the Father hates us and is doing some kind of evil, because that's how it's been for me. And it's all a lie, but it's going to feel and seem and look that way. The image is very deceiving. Too easy to accuse the Father of doing actual wickedness that he never does, ever. He never does evil. But if someone's not seeing something right, then that's how easy it is to make an accusation that's false to him and claim that he's doing some wicked thing that he's not doing, because the person can only see in that moment some kind of evil, because his way is enmity. It has to be worked in us. It has to be worked out, the evil, and worked in the good. So then at first it's okay through an understanding Messiah taught. Which one did the good thing, the right thing? The one that says, I will never do this and that and this and that. I will never do it. I'll never do that work. Or the one that says, I will do it. I will do this and that and such and do whatever the master says. And the other one says, I will never do it. Which one did what's right? The one that said, I will never do it, did what's right. But now there's a few more words after each one of those. The one that said, I will never do it, ended up doing it anyways. And the one that says, I will do it, I will gladly serve the Creator and do this and that, but then they don't actually ever do it and didn't. Which one did what's right in these two things? The one that said, I won't do it ever. So that's going to happen first before a truth is loved. It's going to be enmity, a war to get to that point. It's going to be hated first. And then just enough strength, just enough power to take one step to want to do it, which is a miracle, which we have to ask for that to be so. That he makes a way for what we can't see and understand and want to do. He makes a way to want to do it, what we don't want to do. That's the enmity, that's the war, it's the tribulation in Messiah. That is a tribulation, along with many other meanings that tribulation has, because it's not just one thing. It's going to seem evil and violent, impossible. His way is going to seem impossible with whatever someone's struggling with at the time, with this or that, for any given believer. With men, it is impossible. It's supposed to be, that's what we need to see. That's actually starting to see something good, is starting to believe that his way is impossible so that we could do it, so that he can give us the strength to do the impossible, which he calls his people to do. Be perfect. And Messiah taught, be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. That's a command. That's not something that literally can't ever be done. It just can't be done by our own power and strength and sight. because Adam's dead. He's at enmity with the Creator the rest of his days until he's back in the dust and perishes forever and never comes back. That's what everyone needs to do, is perish forever. The wicked need to die, but it's happening in believers now that wicked man is dying and needs to go away so that there is no enmity, so there's no hatred towards the Father and his truth. The more that old man dies, the more someone can be blessed, the more they can see, the more they can understand and overcome. So, but through it all, the whole entire journey in the desert is the old man dying, and he's screaming and writhing in pain. Like they show in the movies, like they have no clue what they're talking about. They have no clue what they're even showing. They don't know. It just makes itself look like it knows. It doesn't know what that is. Demons screaming. Light is coming and melting the witch, and blood hurling cry, melting away in wrath. It wants to kill you. It wants to kill you. It wants to kill you. And then it just finally disappears. You know, has anyone seen that in some kind of movie at some point? This should make someone maybe a little afraid. It's pretty freaky. It's pretty scary what we are. That's what's happening on his way. The old man wants to stay alive, but we need to know better that he who destroys his soul shall be finding life, not he who saves his soul. The one that saves his soul shall be being destroyed, shall be losing his life. They'll be dying within. They'll be destroyed within until they're finally fully, utterly destroyed at their end, 7 times worse than they were at the beginning. That's what the fate of all unbelievers are. Destruction, misery, woe, woe, woe. Woe is this, woe is that. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites. You do this and this and this and this and this and this, and they read those words and they don't hear them. They don't apply it to themselves, only outwardly pointing the finger at someone else. They can never see their own sins, never can look at its own self, ever. 2 people get in a fight and each one is only accusing the other. One makes a point about what the other did and it might be right, and the other makes a point and it's right, let's say, something right about it, a little bit at least. And both are doing this to each other, and they're both just destroying each other. There is no sense, there is no order. It's lawless, evil chaos, arguing about nothing, about worthless nothing, destroyed over nothing, over some worthless carnal thing. That's what people do. They destroy each other over nothing. And both are just as guilty as the other, but the one walks away in pride, needing to convince himself that his special lie is true about that person, and the other one walks away doing the exact same thing in his heart. His special lie is true about that person, and whatever he said about me, that bounced off of me. Yeah, that bounced off of me like a rubber ball slammed into the wall. Definitely didn't stick. It definitely didn't go in the ear and stay and do something. It went in one ear and out right out the other. That's what happens. And it's all a trick. It's deception. It's the trick to even fall into that evil work and do evil to someone. They want to suck you into that all the time. This world wants to do that to everyone. It wants you to buy the trick. It wants you to do evil to it secretly if it's not acknowledging it in some kind of delusion. And they can't even believe their own words. It wants someone to do evil to them. The works prove it. When someone screams coward, coward, when someone walking away from a fight or something, or not fighting, now you're a coward, because they want you to fight. They want you to murder them. If you murder them with your heart, they murder you back. They hate you. If you do good to them, they hate you even more. If someone can tell me something, anything that's more foolish than that, I'm waiting and listening. I haven't seen it. That's as foolish. It's so foolish, it makes me shake how evil and stupid and foolish that is. It's monstrous. It's beyond monstrous. You know, monstrous has a meaning now. It's not just some dead word that the world always speaks dead words everywhere. The seed of the devil, dead words that don't do anything for anyone. They make the word of Elohim to no effect. They're magicians. They're sorcerers of Egypt. That's what they do. They make his word to have no effect. Somehow they can speak his literal word all day long, and it's not doing an ounce of anything in anyone. Messiah taught it. You make the word of Elohim to no effect in people. That's what you do. You do the wickedness. You do the works of the father, your father, the devil, he said. You desire to do, he told them, the works of your father, his desires. You desire to do. His desire and will, you desire to do. That's not good. Let me see if I can check. Okay. And he said the kingdom. Cried out with a loud voice, what have I to do with you, Yehoshua, son of the Most High, Elohim? I implore you by Elohim that you do not torment me. Unbelievers are tormented by the light. They're tormented by the truth. It torments them bitterly. These words are true. It torments them. Filled up with foul spirits and demons of their father, the devil. Yes, it does torment people. There's nothing worse than the truth to those that are against it still, that hate it. It's only enmity and hatred. Luke 17:20. Now, when he was asked by the Pharisees when the kingdom of Elohim would come, he answered them and said, the kingdom of Elohim does not come with observation. He knew why they were saying and asking that. He knew why. He could see and discern their heart. He's answering according to knowing what their heart is doing secretly, not according to what they say and for the image and empty words and what someone says only out loud. He's answering according to what he knows he sees already, why they're asking, that they always keep secret. But he knew that they were thinking and believing only that the kingdom of Elohim is coming in some kind of carnal way that has nothing to do with the truth. That's what the disciples also believed first too. What does that mean for us? Well, the same. That's what we would have only understood and thought first also. That's how it's coming. Messiah said it's not coming like that. Nor will they say, see here. Like literally, see here. See right here. Or see there, or over there. For indeed the kingdom of Elohim is within you. Said to the disciples, the days will come when you desire to see one of the days of the Son of Man, and you will not see it. Wow, those are hard words, just to add on top of everything else that a believer has to go through and see. The days will come when you desire to see one of the days of the Son of Man, and you will not see it. And they will say to you, look here or look there. Do not go after them or follow them. This is happening all the time. It's not what it sounds like or looks like. The letters only here. Messiah is speaking of something that he knows is true and that he sees when he's saying, they will say to you, look here, look there. They're not going to go over and start saying to us, look here, look there, literally. That's not what it means. It does sound like it, though. Not someone on the mountain going, look here, look there. But they are doing this, and it's being done spiritually, in spirit. The deception's that strong. The church world is the example of this. Come to this kingdom. Look here what we have. We built a kingdom on the outside. We built an outward kingdom. Here it is. And all of that is the way of death because of all the sin and unbelief and all the understanding that's connected to the harlot, the church world, the literal synagogues they build is what they want to see. Look here, look there. They want to suck people into that. It's what people already want to see. The kingdom's not coming that way. It's a trap, a cage. That's why we read it's a cage in Revelation. It's a cage. It's trapping people, and they die in there. It's trapping them. It's diseased spiritually, where every disease is, and foul spirit, and every hateful bird or hated bird. I think hateful, I'm not sure, but the bird is the foul spirit. This is as offensive as it gets to those that are of it. It doesn't get more offensive to them. As the lightning flashes out of one part under heaven, lightning that flashes out of one part under heaven shines to the other part in heaven, so also the Son of Man will be in his day. But first he must suffer many things and be rejected by this generation. Does someone think that doesn't have to be so for a believer in this generation? Because it does. It has to be so, just as it was with him, every word. And as it was in the days of Noah, so it will be also in the days of the Son of Man. Will they see? No. They ate, they drank, they married wives, they were given in marriage until all the way to the end, until the day that Noah entered the ark and the flood came and destroyed them all. People are being destroyed. They're being flooded right now already. What is it that they're doing anyway, saying that any day is the end, like tomorrow and 10 years ago and 50 years? What are they doing? They are not going to believe anyways all the way to the end until the flood comes. They're already flooded. That's why they're doing this. That's why this means this to them, because they're flooded. But for a believer, that will be the first thing too. So much discernment needed because that's the first thing, not the truth, but the first thing, the lie, our own understanding is the first thing. So it will have to go through that. It's going to be that first for every believer with every truth. It's going to be the false thing first, and then it's okay that is. It has to be that way. That's why it's okay. It's just only okay in his way. Only okay if someone's seeking to do his will, it's okay. It's not okay outside of belief because this is part of his way. It's going to have to be like that first with everything. It's hard to put into words to say what I'm seeing. Almost always is. They ate, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they built. Only thing this world constantly does is install fear in people so that it destroys them, because destruction makes them more money. Destruction makes them richer and receive carnal blessing, carnal worldly riches and things in and of the world for a reward that is not of the Father's heavenly reward. Those are not the true rewards or blessings at all. It's what man thinks is blessings. It's what Abraham thinks is blessings, pointing to the true that he cannot see. But Messiah was given all these things. He's speaking of the true. He knows of them. He knows they're true. He's not confused. He's not speaking out of being literally in a delusion and deception every day. He hears from the Father, as a believer needs to, as they will. All the way to the end. No one would believe the end of this age is coming anyways. Don't buy the lie, the image of the beast. It looks like people would believe that. They don't in their heart. The only thing that matters, they don't actually believe that. No unbeliever can believe that. It's not possible. It's not possible. The amount of strength and faith it requires to believe the truth is something that an unbeliever doesn't have. It's not given if they are in unbelief. Nothing's given. It's not possible to believe that the end would actually come when that end does come at the last day of this wicked age. And yet that's not what it's meaning spiritually for us, for a believer's life, their whole way, the whole path, the kingdom of heaven being fulfilled, his word being fulfilled in every believer that ever lived in Messiah. What did that mean to someone 500 years ago? Did they overcome? Did they overcome and finish the race like we read? The only truth that really matters then is what it means for our heart and spirit. What was their end? Did they understand the signs for their end? Did they overcome just as Messiah overcame, which is to not do evil to the enemy? Doing evil to the enemy is not overcoming. It's the exact opposite. It's the exact opposite of overcoming. Worse a year from now than last year is an unbeliever's way. It's not getting better. It's getting worse for them. That's the truth. While they think they're wiser and get more prideful, they get even spiritually dumber and worse and more base and more lost, more unbelief. It just goes in the negative even more. That's something that someone should fear. Why would someone want that for themselves? The works prove that people want it for themselves. They go to every way and every which way that is death, the way of death, the wide gate, and all the tricks and traps that are within it. Each one looking a little different than the other, but they're all the same, really. They're all the same within. The same sins happening, the same destructions happening within, even if something looks a little different on the outside for a deception. A different denomination, a different religion, a different this, a different that, so many different ways. They're all the same. They're all of the wide gate. The only way is to know the Father and Messiah and seek to do his will. Finding out as we go, because we don't know what we have never lived before. How could someone know what they've never even done or seen with eyes to see and ears to hear? Finding out as we go, that's what faith is. Faith is not seeing, it's believing and not seeing. That's who's blessed, is those that believe and don't see. Does that mean we will not see Messiah ever? No, it doesn't. That's the only truth for us right now, though, because the kingdom's not coming the way people think and want ever in our life. It's not going to come like that. But that's what people want in their heart. They want that. They're looking for that already. They don't have to think about these scriptures. They don't have to think about Messiah's words and say, I'm doing this. No, an enemy's not thinking I'm doing this. It's not in their mind in that kind of way at all. But they are doing what Messiah says that they will do. They are doing it. They know not what they do. They don't realize what they're doing. They don't understand it. But people are already doing it. It's already working and happening, and that's how the Father shows his power, his truth, that his word is true and no one can mess with it. No one can mess with him. He shows his power this way. Through what? Through evil, through sin, through man's sin, through Pharaoh being hard-hearted and the Father hardening his heart, and therefore Pharaoh hardens his heart. It's all one. And if someone cannot see what that's meaning, we have to ask. The letter kills, the spirit gives life, we read. That needs to be seen and believed because it's true about all his word. Every single word needs to be sought after for what it means when we don't see or know something, so that it can be given, so that we do know and understand and do it. What is the Father showing because of Pharaoh's resistance and sin, representing the evil, the unbelievers, versus Moses and his people? What is he showing? He's showing his power through this. He's showing that Pharaoh cannot do anything except evil. He cannot do anything else. And when you start seeing that, any believer that starts seeing this in one person, in two, in 10,000, and eventually all, and you start seeing the proof and works that it's the same report coming back when it's discerned every single time with anyone and everyone, everywhere, anywhere. It's pretty frightening how powerful his word is and how true it is. It's pretty astonishing how true it is. It's so true, it's unbelievable. And that's just to bring out how powerful it is. It's never wrong about anyone. Will the enemy ever agree with this? Never. There's only enmity and blindness from their part. It's only ever enmity. It's going to hate that truth. It doesn't see it. It's going to call it foolish and mock it because it's greatly offended at what it doesn't know and see or understand. And plus, it can never hear its sins being spoken of which what does Messiah do? Just for existing, he's exposing someone's sins because he's doing the works of the Father. He's doing the works. Not even a literal word has to be said. That's not to say it's not said. It's just that it's so that it doesn't have to be said, because a light could be perfectly quiet and still expose darkness. How? Because it's shining. It's doing the Father's works that people don't do in their heart in the whole world. Someone sees someone doing the Father's works with their heart, it shines like a light. That is the enemy to the enemy. Father is the enemy to the enemy. The carnal man is enmity towards Elohim and is not subject to his law, neither can it be. Don't they read that? Don't they believe that? Or are they talking about themselves in hypocrisy? Talking about self. His word is against them all. And never believed it. That's why it believes the beast is only coming someday. It's not here working every day. It's not self. The beast is self, but it's not to those that don't believe. It's not. It's coming someday. That's how they do away with it in people's heart. That's how it's never in their heart, whatever the truth is, because it's coming in some life that's not having anything to do with now in the future. That's how they do away with it. It's a pretty crafty trick, their doctrine. What it's really working in the heart is pretty crafty, but it's actually foolish once it's seen. Once the Father gives some light, it's foolish and has no power over us when it's given. That's why anyone that doesn't see something or have the things that we need to be given can easily be taken and deceived and destroyed. But what do we read? The Father is greater than he who is in and of this world. He's greater. But the power of the enemy, there is a power in the darkness, and that's how the Father can show his power, by there being a strong power for evil, showing that no one can overcome that power. And yet, if someone's overcoming it, what is that? It's a miracle. No one's overcoming that power and all that evil, and yet a few do, a few are. That's how he shows his power. It's even greater than that great power. To show how great it is, it needs to be overcoming something very powerful. That's proof. Someone overcoming sin is proof of the Father's existence and power, because it's never happening in this world to all unbelievers. It's never actually happening. Someone doesn't know what good is and what a good work from the heart is. Just can't do any good. And we do read that plainly too in Genesis. Then Jehovah saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, great for evil, not great the way they speak, but they speak of their evil as it's great. They call evil great all the time. The wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. There it is, in simple words, not even a parable. In plain words, speaking what it really is right there, that the wickedness was great, and every intent, the intention of the thoughts of his heart, the works of the heart, was only evil continually. Who can believe it? Who believes our report? Did anyone believe it back then at that time? No, but they thought they did, just like they do today. There was no light. Messiah was the first light in the world. There was no light in the world before him. Go to my next screenshot, see what I have here. Luke 18 here. Okay, Luke 18. This is something that also came to mind and stood out to me today. Well, let's start from the top, I guess. From this parable. Then he spoke a parable to them, that men always ought to pray and not lose heart, saying, there was in a certain city, a judge who did not fear Elohim nor regard man. Now there was a widow in that city, and she came to him, saying, get justice for me from my adversary. And he would not for a while, but afterward he said within himself, though I do not fear Elohim nor regard man. Remember, this is a certain city, a judge who did not fear Elohim. So this is the wicked, the evil, unbeliever, who did not fear Elohim. Believers fear Elohim, someone that does not at all for real, doesn't know him or believe in him, nor regard man, doesn't care what he does to him at all. Does all the evil he wants to him, doesn't regard man, doesn't care, only for himself. Now there was a widow in that city, and she came to him, saying to the wicked man, get justice for me from my adversary. And he said, and he would not for a while, but afterward he said within himself, though I do not fear Elohim nor regard man, yet because this widow troubles me, I will avenge her. Ha! It's incredible. Oh, it's so bad. The trouble that it causes the Father has nothing to do with what's going on in someone's mind. When carnal man says this troubles me, he's talking about evil and doing evil. This widow troubles me, bothering me, just a pest. Get out of here. I mean, who hasn't seen this? They show this in the movies. We see it in the real world all the time. Self has done it. Just get out of here. You trouble me. But because this widow troubles me, I will avenge her. Why? Because the widow troubles me, is annoying to me, bothering me. He's a wicked man. He is not doing this out of good. I will avenge her, lest by her continual coming she weary me. So that's an evil intention, to avenge. That's why we read, this man does not fear Elohim, because he's doing this out of evil. He's looking good while doing evil. There's the works of the devil again. That is the work of the devil. Looking good for an image while doing evil in the heart, doing the actual wickedness in the heart, trying to cover it up with the image, hiding. Then the master said, hear what the unjust judge said. Well, there it is there. Unjust. Messiah already says it, actually. The unjust judge said. We didn't read that right away up here, but if someone could see and have a little discernment what this judge was, because he did not fear Elohim, but now we read it plainly, the unjust judge. Hear what the unjust judge said, and shall Elohim not avenge his own elect, who cry out day and night to him, though he bears long with them? Now I looked up in this case, the NIV with that last part, because though he bears long with them, it's a little one of those instances for me anyways, until I could see like a better sense of what that's meaning, for seeing what that's meaning. Where is it now? I tell you, he will see that they get justice, and quickly. Is that the right one? Oh, and will not Elohim bring about justice for his chosen ones who cry out to him day and night? Will he keep putting them off? So that's making perfect sense, because will he not? No, he won't. He will avenge his elect for those that do evil to his people. But then we read this part here, will he keep putting them off? No. The answer is no, but it reads in the New King James a little differently, a little more literal, I guess, though he bears long with them. I tell you that he will avenge them speedily. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man comes, will he really find faith on the earth? Well, that answer is no also. Where's the faith? Did Moses find faith when he came down on the earth from the mountain that was still attached to the earth and therefore not truly heavenly? But it does kind of look like it. It masquerades as being high and heavenly and lofty, doesn't it? But that mountain is still connected to the earth. It's not heavenly. It just looks like it. It's really earthly. That looks high and lofty. That's what just came to mind. It only looks like it. It's not that. It's not the truth. It's not the real thing. That's why we also read, I think in Hebrews, if he shook the earth before, will he not shake the heavens and earth? And comparing the old covenant and the new covenant and how much greater the new covenant is. It's not even hardly comparable compared to how much greater it is to the old covenant. So now if an unjust judge does the right thing, he didn't do what's right. He only looked like it. He did avenge her. It's a parable. We're not supposed to avenge anyone. That's also what proves this judge is wicked, because he's going to go and do it himself or be connected to servants that do his bidding. He's still doing it, even if he doesn't do it with his own hand. Yes, you do, wicked judge out there. Yes, you are guilty. You can't hide under your servants and dump all your sin on them. You're guilty if you connect it to them. That goes and does it for you. You'll be sitting in your costly chair, dying and in misery because of what. Yes, honk to that train. Honk to the word of truth. Again. That man's going to be judged by the Creator. We're supposed to believe that. Does it look like it? If we're not seeing perfectly in something, it won't look like it. It does require faith. It requires a lot of faith to believe he will take care of someone doing evil to us. Yeah, it's a good thing to pray that he takes vengeance. Yes, it is. Does that sound evil? Does that make a believer look evil? Yes, it does. The wicked will accuse that of being evil, while they're the ones that do the repaying themselves. But to not repay is evil. To want the Creator to repay is violently wicked. How dare you want this for such and such? But the wicked man masquerades and acts like he doesn't want it. But then he goes and does the revenge anyways, by his own hand. And somehow he's not wicked for doing that. Somehow he's not guilty for what he accuses a believer of being guilty, doing the exact thing that he accuses himself, condemning himself, guilty himself. So the contrast and the point also in this parable, Messiah's teaching, is if the wicked man is doing something that's like right in this way, avenging. I know it sounds contradicting because I just said that it's not right. We can't be doing this by our own hand. This understanding has to come from the Father to understand it for real. It cannot be understood by ourselves and from us trying with our own mind in our own way, thinking with that carnal mind. All of it sounds contradicting all the time, his word trying to explain the truth, because the letter really is contradicting and it kills. It causes death. It doesn't give life. The Spirit gives life. not the letter by itself and what it looks like and the outward things. So his whole entire word can't be judged outwardly for what it looks and sounds like. Can't judge a book by its cover, they say. That's all they do is judge the Father's word by how it looks and sounds like. Their own religion popped up because of how it looks and sounds like. That synagogue, that $5 million synagogue exists because of judging the book by its cover. It wouldn't exist if they knew the truth and saw it and didn't judge it in that evil way, but judge with righteous judgment. As Messiah said, judge with righteous judgment. Look at the works of the heart, see what's really working inside. Judge the Father's word with righteous judgment. Needing to get the understanding and see what it really means and not judge it by its cover, by what it sounds and looks like. Their whole system exists because they judge the book by its cover. Hypocrites. Father will avenge them speedily, and we're supposed to have faith that he will, and not do any evil ourselves. That means not to do any evil in the heart. That's real. It means not to murder them in our heart. There's a way for this, and it's impossible unless it's given. How does someone want judgment on someone for the evil they did while not doing evil to them with their own heart? It's impossible. It's impossible to do this work with man. With man it is impossible, Messiah said, but with Elohim all things are possible. With man it is impossible. It really is. It's literally impossible to want righteous judgment to come back on someone for the evil they really did and not do any evil to them from our own heart, let alone touch them, let alone kill them, literally. Messiah is speaking of the spiritual law, spiritual things of the heart, not to do any murder in the heart. Who's going to see me murder? I can murder all I want, says the carnal man. Sure you can, not without being destroyed utterly, not without being completely taken in utter darkness. You can't. Keep on murdering then if you want to do that and say I could do as much as I want, no one's going to catch me. So someone's definition of being caught is not the Father's definition of being caught. Someone that looks like they're getting away because they're not put in a cage yet for what they did, maybe they killed someone, to the person that lost a family member or whatever this violent, evil thing that person did, they won't be able to sleep because of their vengeance, because of the fury in them and the restraint that the Father has. Otherwise, they also would go and literally kill the person that killed them, killed someone they care about. They're the same person as the killer. They're the same unforgiving, wicked, murderous person that has murdered thousands upon hundreds of thousands of people over a lifetime with its heart. It's a killer and a murderer, no different. And what it wants on the murderer is the same work that the murderer did. It wants it to be back on them. Yes, that's a hard truth. That's the truth. That's what everyone is first, though. They can't be that at the last in belief. That's got to be dead at the end, fully and perfectly. That is the truth. They won't be caught until they're in a cage in their mind. But in truth, because they're trapped, there is no way out of it in unbelief. There is no good way as long as someone's in unbelief. Nothing will make sense. There is no way. It's an all impossible darkness. It's all evil no matter what way someone goes. That's how it has to work. The only way is to come out of it completely and utterly through belief, through repentance. There is no way for the one in darkness. It won't make any sense. You can't command them to do one thing and this will change they have to come out. They have to believe. There is no other way except that. It has to be this hard, impossible thing to bear constantly in sin, in death. And if that's what someone wants, they will get it. They want more sin, they will get it. The Father gives Samson many things to even kill his enemy. Was he really hearing his voice? Was he really hearing the Father's voice as Messiah did? Did the Father go and tell him to kill the enemies? To literally murder people, which is a murderous heart, and it's obvious? What did Samson want so badly? To murder and kill and do vengeance to his enemies. Did he get it? Oh, he got it all right. Not without destroying himself. You'll get this because there's a judgment on those people. They did evil and the Father's determining a judgment on them. And if a building falls on them, so be it, the Father says, because he's judging them at perfect timing for whatever they've done in their life. That's not my call or anyone else's call to say exactly why every detail they deserve this, that's for the Father to judge. No one else is the judge of the earth like that. The Creator alone does this. But what's going on in Samson's heart? Murder. And he destroys himself for doing it. His last dying wish, David, was to take vengeance on his enemies and kill them with the sword. Murder them, kill them. These are not soft words. Oh, they can't sell this. They won't be able to. They can't. They can't. If they try, they're going to die even more for trying to sell this. And even if someone were to try to sell his truth, no one's going to buy it. Therefore, they never sold it if no one bought it. Because it's only official if someone buys it. There's no such thing as selling something that was never bought. They can try, but they can't actually sell it. Someone has to buy it. No one's going to buy it. No one's buying in on the truth. No one ever has and no one ever will. Because his truth can't be bought like merchandise, like a harlot exchanged like merchandise. Can't be bought the way that man thinks of everything carnally and evilly, that it can just be bought. Let me buy some Holy Spirit real quick so I can gain some riches myself. Ooh, that looks real good. I could take that and use advantage of that. That's the dirtiest, most abominable thing to the Father. There's hardly something more disgusting among all the other disgusting, evil things. But it's right up there. He hates that. Is it evil to the one doing that? Absolutely not. Zero. It's not evil at all. That's why they're doing it. They prove that they don't believe it's evil through their works, through selling a product, through buying, even literally. They prove by what their works are, what they think of his truth, that it's lesser than a harlot. It's lesser than a bunch of merchandise. To them, in their mind, it's nothing. Trying to speak that mind of what it is in someone's mind that doesn't believe. It's nothing to them. It's dung. It's garbage. Yeah, that's not easy to see every day, that what people really believe about the Father's word and him himself constantly, that he's evil and wicked. He's going to burn people forever. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. Have they ever sought after the Creator a day in their life that believe and do these things? How could they know him? How could they know Messiah and the Father? By believing that in their heart, by believing that the Father's wicked and evil, and he's going to do violent, wicked, evil. Everything that's not understood will be offensive. It's going to offend someone, so a believer needs to be aware of that. So then if we're offended, that means we're not seeing something. That's the sign. Be aware. Don't do what all the unbelievers do now and turn away and start doing a bunch of evil and falsely accusing something. That's a strong judgment. Instead, we just say, I don't know, until he gives it. Ask and receive if it's his will, and we wait till it's given. And in the meantime, wait. He makes us wait for all kinds of things, sometimes real quick, sometimes real long, and in between. The longer things will be more rewarding. The shorter things will be a little less, but they're instant. So he balances all things out. And it doesn't mean the lesser things aren't good, but it does sound like it. It did just sound like it. Messiah taught this too. The little things are very important. Just because there's greater and lesser things doesn't mean the little things aren't insanely important. In fact, that's where everything starts, is from the small. There is no big without the small. It doesn't even exist. So how important is that little thing of which everything starts from? If it never starts there, it's never going to grow big. It's never going to get there ever. So that's pretty important, the small thing, because that's where it starts. It supports everything else that comes after, like a foundation. It doesn't look like much. It's right on the ground. It's not fancy. It doesn't look that great, but boy, does it support a lot. So then that thing is balanced. Nothing can boast. There is no prideful teaching in his truth. If someone's teaching is pride, that means it's a lie. It needs to be seen how, because there is no pride in his truth. There is no boasting. It's not allowed. Father says not allowed. Sorry. I am the creator. You are the created, the children that don't know anything until I give you things, all things. For those that believe to be given all things, he won't allow it. Something like maybe a dad saying, absolutely not. I will not allow this kid to do this. But how much greater with the Father? Doesn't Messiah teach that? Gives a natural example, and then that contrast brings out, if it's so with someone wicked avenging someone, and he does it for a wicked reason, but he did it though, see? He avenged someone because they were annoyed, so that they stop whining. How much more will the Father avenge? For the real reasons and the righteousness that he is, not the same reason the unjust judge is doing it. The thing that doesn't matter to this world is the only thing that matters. Why we do what we do is the only thing that matters. It is the biggest thing. Why we do what we do is the only biggest thing. It's the thing that doesn't matter most in this world, is why you do it. It doesn't matter. No one's going to care. No one's going to give a crap about it at all. Zero. They just see the end result, like a product. Okay, this guy avenged her. What are you complaining about? Well, he did it for a wicked reason. Who cares? What's wrong with you? Are you sick or something? Yeah, very sick. Sick of seeing this evil. Not the sick you talk about. Not the sick that you just said. That's not what's on my mind. That sick is not the sick I'm thinking about. So how must it be for the Father always? His thoughts are not. Our thoughts are not his thoughts. Our ways are not his ways. So it has to be given. So if we rely on self, it'll already be a lie, because our thoughts in all things are not his thoughts, and our ways in all ways and things are not his ways. Therefore, it will be instantly sin if it's our own. It will be wrong, it will be evil, it will be sin. Just for being our own. That's it. It's already over if it's our own. So that's how important it is for it not to be our own, which is what? Denial of self. Buried, dying, not working out of the old man, but the new man only. Doing the works of the new man that's growing. As we do read to grow in Messiah, like a baby growing from milk. So then there's milk doctrine, milk teaching, like a baby grows from. So someone has to grow in Messiah in all things. So if someone is a baby, well, they will look like that. They will do the works of that for a time. And there's no condemnation for that, because that's what everyone is first. It has to be a baby first before it's 5, and it has to be 5 first before it's 10 in order. And there's no skipping, and he won't allow it to skip. Up, I just made it to 100 and I was 10. No, that takes time. It takes experience and growth every day. Messiah's doing work. The Father's doing work, working in the day, working in light, not in the darkness. Out in the open, not hiding and deceiving people, but telling the truth, telling it as it is, and telling the truth with no tricks and deception. That's what Messiah did. That's what we have to do. The enemy is afraid of all the truth. They're afraid of the Father in a cowardly way, which is not good, because there's no love if it's full blown that only. But a believer will be that first, with a little bit of the true fear and a lot of cowardly fear still. Then that has to die more, and the good fear needs to come in. And that other fear has to die more, and then more good fear needs to come in. A believer needs to know this is the way and the truth. They need to know it, that he works like this and no other way. If someone doesn't know, they'll be easily deceived and destroyed. Just like that. They'll buy anything that someone sells them. Could be anything. And then run away from the only truth, the one truth. And then all these other ways are just tricks. It looks like there's 10,000 ways, but they're all really one wide gateway and lead to the same end, death. Here it is. Also, he spoke this parable. What were we speaking about? About not trusting in self. Also, he spoke this parable. I didn't see this until right now. To some who trusted in themselves that they were righteous. Wow, that was perfect. But that's what Father does. We don't try anymore. Don't work for himself. He'll work it out and make it work. It's his works, his prophecy, his things. This just worked out right now. I didn't have a clue. I did not read this yet. I only was on here above this. Now that's not it doesn't look very believable because I see all of this whole page. How will someone know if I'm telling the truth or not? That I didn't read this at all that whole time, didn't know it was coming next. How will they know? Also, he spoke this parable to some who trusted in themselves that they were righteous and despised others. Two men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. The Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself. All this is good. Elohim, I thank you that I am not like other men, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even as this tax collector. I fast twice a week. I give tithes of all that I possess. Do they not do this? Don't even NBA players give too? All the time they tell everyone how much they give. And the tax collector standing afar, the sinner, the tax collector, the wicked, that wicked over there, I'm so much better than him. Wow, what a narrow way to be doing all his truth and also doing this truth at the same time in our heart. No one's going to believe that a believer's ever doing that. No way. Not happening, because it doesn't look like it. Not to them. Not at all. And the tax collector standing afar off would not so much as raise his eyes to heaven, but beat his breast, saying, Elohim, be merciful to me, a sinner. Acknowledging who and what he is. This is the right heart. The tax collector, the sinners that's repenting, the believers that are sinners repenting. Be merciful. I'm a sinner, no good. I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted. That's good news. Bad news for one, good for the other. So it must be. It's enmity between the two until the end. Till the Father takes all that enmity away someday. That is coming. It will be taken away. But this is the only truth right now. It's not taken away yet, so nothing can be as if it has been taken away. That will break all truth, all of it. Then they also brought infants to him that he might touch them. But when the disciples saw it, they rebuked them. But Yahushua called them to him and said, "Let the little children come to me, and do not forbid them, for of such is the kingdom of Elohim." That's the beginning for everyone. This is what it is. The disciples wanted the only thing that's good to not be good, to go away. They want death. They don't know what they're doing yet. They rebuked them. They didn't like this. They were offended by seeing infants. I think in another place it says children, I'm not sure now. To him that he might touch them, but when the disciples saw it, they rebuked them. But he said, "Let the little children come to me." Oh, there it is. Okay. Let the little children come to me and do not forbid them. I'm not sure. I never remember seeing infants, but I'll have to look into that word. Let the little children come to me and do not forbid them, for such is the kingdom of Elohim. Surely I say to you, whoever does not receive the kingdom of Elohim as a little child will by no means enter it. That's how important just this one word is. If someone rejects being like a child, or even younger, that's not, the exact age is not the point, but like a child, if they reject that, they rejected the whole entire way. Messiah just said it. Surely I say to you, whoever does not receive the kingdom of Elohim as a little child will by no means enter it. Who wants to acknowledge such thing? They're offended. Why? Because in their mind they're prideful. They're still high-minded and prideful. They're not a child. They're mature and strong. Child, it offended the disciples. We don't want to see the image of what we really are, children and immature. And that's being very nice to say, that Adam is immature. That's true. If that's all that was said, that's being pretty nice to only say that. It's a lot worse than immature, but that's true. So they were offended, but they didn't see it yet. We're not going to see it yet at first. That's how it works, because the disciples didn't either. Doesn't that make them look like unbelievers? Yeah. Doesn't that make them look like the wicked? Yeah. To others. They are the wicked that the others are. That's something an unbeliever never can acknowledge. That they're sinner. Isn't a sinner wicked, or is a sinner righteous? Be merciful to me, a sinner. Sinners are wicked. They're one. If it's a sinner, it's wicked. If it's wicked, it's a sinner. That's what his people have to acknowledge in their heart, that they're no good, sinners. Now that's going to seem to contradict them being called righteous. Well, that's different, separate understanding. Who can see it? Who can know it? And it doesn't contradict because it's different. It's rightly divided. It's a different thing now being spoken of. So people speak all the time of what they have no clue. Their very words, they don't know what it even means. They get worse when they become spiritual gurus. They get even dumber. The more people worship them, the more they fall. The more they think they're wise and everyone's commending them to confirm their delusion that they're wise. They're really believing it because other people are believing it. They get worse. Better to be a bum on the street than a guru. Tax collectors and harlots will enter the kingdom of heaven before them. What about that scripture for the Pharisee in the religion? Tax collectors and harlots and whores will enter the kingdom of heaven before the preacher man in the church world. Messiah said so. Didn't he say it's very, very difficult? Practically impossible. Yes, it is really impossible. But he gave an example to bring out the difficulty, a camel going through the eye of a needle for a rich man to repent and believe and enter the kingdom. And he also said it a little different way with the same meaning. Those that trust in riches, how hard is it for them to enter the kingdom of heaven? How difficult, how impossible. That's why he says the harlots will enter the kingdom of heaven before you. He was speaking to what? The religion, those that claim to believe. How offensive is that? That's their whole purpose in religion or in unbelief, is to masquerade and look righteous. And Messiah just said that those sinners that they try to distance themselves from because they're so much better than them, those wicked, worthless sinners, that tax collector, extortioner, their very life's purpose is to create an image that makes it look like they're far from them. And they are them in reality. They just can't acknowledge it and see. Don't want to acknowledge it. Repent. That's why Messiah said that. Tax collectors, extortioners, sinners, harlots will enter the kingdom before you. Can you imagine? Can someone see why Messiah, why they killed him? Can someone see a little bit, at least a little, or maybe a lot, or in between somewhere, why they killed him? Because he spoke the truth. Devil's coming after the Father's people, and we have to believe he's going to protect us. Oh, the enemy's going to send a flood, all right, but the earth swallowed the flood and helped the woman, spiritual seed of Israel, the woman, those in Messiah, the spiritual Jews, the true believers, the woman representing the true people. The devil would like to flood them out every day. Should have been dead a long time ago, spiritually and physically, literally. What shall I do? Certain ruler asked him, saying, what shall I do, good teacher? What shall I do to inherit eternal life, abiding life? So Yehoshua said to him, why do you call me good? Isn't that a little strange to start out with answering by saying, why do you call me good? The more a believer is given from above, the more they will start doing Messiah's works and start looking like Messiah more and more. Not for an image outwardly, but in the heart looking like him, the spiritual image, the image of the Father, of which Messiah was made to be. So now we do need to be made in the same image. Don't we read in Genesis, made in his image? What happens if someone says they're already made in his image from birth? You threw away all the truth. You don't believe. You're not a believer if you believe in that in your heart the rest of your life. That's not a believer that believes that the rest of their life, that someone's already in God's image. They can't believe that forever and be a believer. They just threw away all of the kingdom, all the truth. And can someone see how that's so? Is it okay not to see something? Because the kingdom starts out small and it grows. Yes, there's no condemnation for not knowing something. We're supposed to learn it. We didn't know it first. Before we learn it, we didn't know it. But speaking out of those that never believe, that's what they will say and will continue to say in their heart. I'm made in God's image already. No, you're not. The Creator's a murderer. The Creator envies like you. The Creator lusts all the time. after strange flesh and woman and this and that and for money and for self-gain. That's the Creator's image, sin. He's in your image. He's in my image, the old man. They don't see a problem with that in the church world for 2,000 years. Just this one thing alone, already made in his image. They got tricked. They can't see what it means. They can't see the prophecy. They didn't get any authority from above for how this word works in Genesis and what it means and how important it is and that it's needing to become true constantly and will be true for all in due time. For all. But first, believers. They're the firstborn. They're the first fruits. And someone shared to me the Hebrew word in first fruits is used in the very first verse in Genesis, the very first verse in his word. In the beginning. That's the same Hebrew word as when we read like first fruits, the beginning first. It's the same. In the first, in the beginning. They're first. Earlier, first fruits. Like the natural thing comes a little earlier first. The rest will come later. That's why Messiah says to go and invite them to come for the things now and to come to believe in. Invite. What did he also teach? Go out again after that first time. Go out a third time again. And then what does he say after a third time? And the servant says, Master, I did go. I went, I did this, I did that. And came back with nothing, like going fishing and coming back empty. Messiah said, Sure, truly, I tell you, all the guests you invited, them, all the ones you invited, none of them shall taste my supper. None of them will believe that you just went out and did. That's how few it will be. He didn't teach that no one would believe. Someone's work will do absolutely nothing, but it's going to be small. It's not going to be many. Don't they believe Messiah's parable for how few believe and how many believe because of someone sharing the word? It's very few. It's very few. Makes me want to shake for what they've done. Their massive lies. And what does the Father prove? He proves that it's few to those that see. We can see it. Shows us the works of people to prove who they are, prove whether they're believers or not. I've never seen many. I'm looking, keeping my eyes open. I've never seen his word get broken. I've never seen many. There's not many. Is the number important, really, for how many there are right this minute in this year? It's really not. There's not many. It's few. Messiah taught that it would be few. And there's more witnesses to that truth. And that's how he builds up the truth in someone, a different, separate truth given, which acts as a witness to that one truth, but from a little different angle, a little something different, but it adds to it. It confirms it with many witnesses. He keeps on building the truth. They all witness to each other, but we have to see it. Otherwise, we won't see it. It has to be given to see it. He proves it. That's why Messiah teaches that parable to go out, and he did, to go out, and he did go out again. And then all those that he invited, none of them. Now, it does sound like someone could rip his word right there and steal it, kill it, destroy it. Not really, but with their heart they do, and therefore kill others for real, destroy others for real. The job of a false prophet is to destroy others. That's how they get their riches. Shh, no one tell anyone. They don't get it from the Creator the way that they're implying and saying through doing righteousness and because they're doing good. They get their carnal gain through faithlessness and doing evil, through the devil rewarding them and the Father allowing them to get what they want so often. That's why people say, be careful what you wish for. They don't know what it means, but those are true words. And if someone does know what it means, then that's really good. That's incredibly rare. That's incredibly good. There's just not many that do. It would be nice to see it all. Isn't that why Messiah said you will want to see? The days will come that you want to see one of the days of the Son of Man, and you will not see it. Well, how is this discerned a little bit for what it means? But one way is by what it doesn't mean. If someone sees what it doesn't mean, then it can be reduced to the possibilities of what it means by knowing what it doesn't mean. Does it mean a believer what? Won't make it? Did Messiah teach believers won't make it? That's what that means? No, that's not what that means. That you won't see that day. That breaks all his truth. That contradicts for real all his word to not worry that he will never forsake and leave his people. That contradicts that utterly. That's not what it means. It's definitely not that. That's a good thing to have in the heart, but it's also good to know that we won't see it the way we want to see it. We have to wait for that thing which is to come. That's beyond this age, this life. That takes a lot of faith, doesn't it? To believe in anything past this life takes quite a bit of faith. That's what a believer is supposed to have. Real faith, not just saying it, not just putting a picture on the wall and now because it says faith on it, that means this household has faith. No, it doesn't. That doesn't mean that. Now, if someone is doing that only to make it look like they have faith, that's evil. They're deceived. It's not about the picture that says faith on it. It's why it's there. Why does it exist? And if the intention from the heart is, which they won't be able to admit, if it is, I've never seen it. I've never seen an unbeliever admit what they do in their heart. Never. Never will. The only hope for someone doing that is to repent through belief. That's it. That's the only hope for anyone doing, including self always, and every believer. That's the only hope. Not in unbelief, they won't. They won't admit the thing that they did in their heart. They can't do that. The devil can't do that. That's the biggest enmity that there is. It's why they make their cover and their image, to hide what they do in their heart. They're not going to just reveal it now. They did that to hide what their heart is, that it's faithless. By what? Making sure it looks like it has faith to the world. See, look at me, I have faith. So now it's wants everyone, all eyes on it, all ears on it, so that someone believes their image that they sell to others daily, destroying and deceiving them. And others are buying that image daily, destroying and deceived, being destroyed and deceived. Powerful, huge. No wonder it's a wonder. John wonders. So do all his believers wonder. If they start seeing this, they will. They will wonder also. But first, it's a little bit of wondering because we don't see that much in the beginning. It's pretty much nothing in the beginning. But then it grows a little bit and you see a little bit of what it means to wonder after the beast, just a little. Then it grows even more. He shows you more about that same truth. And then it's growing and changing and the words stay the same. How foolish does that look to unbelievers? A believer says the same phrase, the same scriptures, the same words at year one. And 10 years later, those same words mean something completely different than it did 10 years ago. The words stay the same. And yet there's something growing and being seen and grown. That word is growing until it's complete. It's not that it was wrong what was in the beginning that was seen. It was that there was so much darkness and evil that already was there first. And that's what needs to go away. And then the good needs to grow. So then you start seeing things you never saw before when he gives more understanding on something because it grew. It does look different. That might tempt someone to think that what they had before was all messed up and wrong, and none of it's true, because that's what I've thought. more than once. You know, it's not. And then it also is the same time we were wrong on our part about whatever we didn't see yet. How does it get more confusing than this to someone that can't see? Does it get dumber than this? So there is no way to look good in his way and his truth. Just sound like a fool at all times. And evil. Very evil. And Messiah didn't have evil in him, and that's all that they accused him of, as a wicked doer, as a blasphemer that deserves to be murdered and killed and put to death. And he did not do any actual evil to them. I don't think I'm going to stop being amazed at that ever. All the way to the end, it's going to shock me and amaze me. That's how it's been with his word. It shocks me and amazes me over and over and over again and never goes away. The shock and amazement of something, even the good things, the shock and amazement of what good is keeps on shocking and amazing me over and over again. Strange, but it's true. Let's see what else I have for, oh, John 6:27, I think. Yeah. John 6. Where did we start here? Ooh. I'll start a few verses above like last time, similar, I guess. See, do I have anything else? All right, let's see, where am I? Let me take away the split screen on my thing, so. Where is it? Lost the verse. Maybe I'll just read the whole chapter then. That should fix the problem. Oh, yeah, okay. Well, let's see what happens, I guess. After these things, Yehoshua went over to the Sea of Galilee, which is the Sea of Tiberias. Then a great multitude followed him because they saw his signs. Why did they follow him? Because they saw his signs, which he performed on those who were diseased. Can that be our heart? Just for that? Does it mean the signs are bad? No. But can that be the only intention? Can that be the intention to follow Messiah? No, it cannot for a believer be that intention only. Someone's heart does need to want to actually do good, to simply just want to do the good, to do whatever the Father's good is, his works, not because just this, because they saw his signs, which he performed on those who were diseased. And Yehoshua went up to the mountain, and there he sat with his disciples. Now the Passover, a feast of the Jews, was near. Then Yehoshua lifted up his eyes, and seeing a great multitude coming toward him, he said to Philip, "Where shall we buy bread that these may eat. But this he said to test him, for he himself knew that what he would do already. See, he knew what he would do. Is this evil? No, because this is the righteous testing out of love and care. This is for someone's benefit to learn and see something so that they do what it means, so that they don't do the sin, the evil, the opposite thing of the good. Then there's the evil testing. There's a good testing and an evil testing. Who can see the difference? That's what we need to find out and see the difference. We have to discern the difference between good and evil, unlike Adam and Eve. Unlike that old man, which is us first, that has no discernment. We have to discern between good and evil, good testing and evil testing. Messiah has good intentions for good purposes to test. It's a good testing for someone's good. Evil man tests someone out of evil intentions and evil reasons for his own self-gain and not for the other's benefit, but to sacrifice them for their benefit, to destroy and kill them for their benefit. That's the evil testing. Philip answered him, 200 denarii worth of bread is not sufficient for them, that every one of them may have a little. Interesting. It's the word I've been saying, a little. That every one of them may have a little. Now he's answering out of unbelief. One of his disciples, he's answering out of the natural man, the natural understanding. He looked with his eyes, he heard with his ears, he sees the people. We clearly don't have enough. That's exactly what we're not supposed to ever judge by, ever. That's the perfect truth. That's the understanding. We're not going to be perfect in it on day one, but that's the truth, though. Never supposed to judge with the eyes and ears like that, ever. One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said to him, there is a lad here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 small fish, but what are they among so many? So he's thinking the same thing, carnally. What's that going to do? Then Yehoshua said, make the people sit down. Now there was much grass in the place, so the men sat down in number about 5,000. Also, 5 is used here, and day 5 in Genesis is about multiplying. And what is Messiah going to do through the Father working a miracle? Multiply, fill the earth and multiply. And Yehoshua took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed them to the disciples, and the disciples to those sitting down, and likewise of the fish as much as they wanted. So when they were filled, he said to his disciples, gather up the fragments that remain. Look at that. Not enough? There's leftovers. That's what the Father can do, so that nothing is lost. His food is important. It's too important to be lost. It's too meaningful and good to be lost. It's valuable. Therefore they gathered them up and filled 12 baskets with the fragments of the 5 barley loaves which were left over by those who had eaten. Then those men, when they had seen the sign that Yehoshua did, said, this is truly the prophet who is to come into the world. Therefore, when Yehoshua perceived that they were about to come and take him by force to make him king. Did someone actually think this was good right here for a second? Maybe a split second? Well, if someone tried to understand this at first on their own, they would believe this is good, right? This is truly the prophet who is to come into the world. These are people who acknowledge truth. They believe in the Messiah, right? What's the very next thing? Therefore, when Yehoshua perceived that they were about to come and take him by force to make him king, he departed again to the mountain by himself alone. It's incredible how deceptive everything is. It's incredible. There was no good. They wanted to make him king by force. What is force besides rape? besides wicked control, besides evil. Now they wanted to make him king for evil reasons. Nothing new under the sun, the same reason someone always would like to make someone king. Therefore, when Yehoshua perceived that they were about, I read that. Now, when evening came, his disciples went down to the sea, got into the boat, and went over the sea toward Capernaum, and it was already dark, and Yehoshua had not come to them. Then the sea arose because a great wind was blowing. That's right, it's a great wind blowing with this kind of evil happening before it. So when they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles, they saw Yehoshua walking on the sea and drawing near the boat, and they were afraid. But he said to them, "It is I, do not be afraid." Then they willingly received him into the boat, and immediately the boat was at the land where they were going. Interestingly, we do read willingly receive. That's very important to have in the heart. Nothing can be forced. That's evil. We just read forced up there. Now we read they willingly received him. Cannot be doing to someone what they don't want. Because the Father is real. He doesn't do force out of the wicked force like the carnal man, like a slave driver that's in and of this world as the world sees and knows what force is. That's evil. On the following day, when the people who were standing on the other side of the sea saw that there was no other boat there except that one which his disciples had entered, and that Yehoshua had not entered the boat with his disciples, but his disciples had gone away alone. However, other boats came from Tiberias near the place where they ate bread after the master had given thanks. When the people therefore saw that Yehoshua was not there, nor his disciples, they also got into the boats and came to Capernaum, seeking Yehoshua. And when they found him on the other side of the sea, they said to him, "Rabbi, when did you come here?" So their question is, when did you come here? And we're reading all this and something's not looking right, does it? They're trying to figure out now something. They're always trying to figure out something. See, it's just this evil mindset, this suspicious, what's the word? Looking into other people's things in this evil way. What does it start with? The G? Can't even think of the simple word right now. Can't think of it at the moment. When did you come here? Yehoshua answered them and said, "Most assuredly I say to you, you seek me." But that doesn't end there. Most assuredly, truly, truly, I say to you, you seek me, not because you saw the signs, but because you ate of the loaves and were filled. See, now there's a different deception and trick. What if it's not the signs for someone? Well, then it's for the loaves and that they were filled. And if it's not this, it could be something else. Isn't that the understanding? We don't have to read all 10,000 possibilities. Is that what the Father's going to do with his word? Here's all 50,000 of this one understanding. We're going to put a list on here. Now, start checking the list. Oh man, that's just an utter life of faithlessness. That is what they teach. They teach people how to live out of faithlessness, always worrying, always in debt in some kind of way to someone. In sin debt, in literal debt. That's all the world loves. That's all it cares about is debt because it's evil. Now he sees their heart. How does he see already? All they did is say, "When did you come here?" There's an understanding here of what Messiah does all the time. Look at what he does. For those that claim to believe out there, why don't they hear? What does Messiah do all the time? Someone asks him, "When did you come? When did you come here?" And he's already telling them what they really are doing, because that's the only right thing to do in this moment. He sees what their heart is doing, and he's telling them and answering out of why their heart is doing what they're doing. Isn't that going to make him look evil instantly to speak the very words of someone's heart? Sin, someone's sin in their heart. That's his answer to them, telling them what they're really doing and why they're doing it. Someone's going to say, you can't do this. Of course, they're going to say that. The devil points with that finger like Uncle Sam, raging and angry always. You can't do this. Yes, we can, and we will. And by the Father's power and will, you're not going to stop them. Not going to stop us from doing it. I say to you, you seek me not because you saw the signs, but because you ate of the loaves and were filled. Do not labor for the food which perishes. Almost as if this question they asked is like nothing. Is he answering them? It's not going to look like it to people, would it? If they actually ask these questions, does it look like he's answering their question? He's answering so perfectly that they can't comprehend any of it. He's answering in truth, not worshiping the image, not lying to neighbor, not playing the sick game. Do not labor for the food which perishes, but for the food which endures to everlasting life, to age-lasting life, which the Son of Man will give you, because Elohim the Father has sent his seal. That's why I saved this one. This is what I saw. Because Elohim the Father has set his seal on him. And Messiah is speaking of himself, that what the Father did for him in third person, like he does, of which they try to copy in this world and in wicked, evil pride, and it's nasty and has nothing to do with what Messiah did. It just looks like it only. It's not doing any of this out of pride. How else does he even say it? Does he not have a right to do good and eat from any of the trees of the garden that are good works and good? Can he not do good for good and with the intention of good to do for good? Yes, he can, but it does have to be done without pride. That has to be seen and checked. It has to be tested in self. Make sure that is true. Make sure that is happening, that it's something is being done without pride. Can't just say the words, has to be doing it. But for the food which endures to age-lasting life, which the Son of Man will give you, because Elohim the Father has set his seal on him. And the first thing that came to mind when I read his seal, and I didn't see it in this verse like this before, but something a little more was given, a connection to Revelation. What do we read? That who is it that have the seal, the 144,000? Don't do this to the earth, to the grass, to the fish, to this, to that. However we read it exactly in Revelation, until you seal his own people, till you seal the 144,000. Messiah says his seal is on him. The Father's seal is on him, speaking of himself here, because Elohim the Father has set his seal on him himself. He's saying the Father did the seal. Who are those that are sealed? Those that are of Messiah are sealed. And what is this sealing? Well, I have yet to find out more what this sealing is. I don't fully know the full perfect thing, but just whatever I can see today, right now, believing that more will come and it will get better and it will grow to the perfect thing. And in his timing, that he'll do it, which requires faith for something we don't know in the future or haven't learned yet or seen yet. That requires faith. That requires waiting, patience. All for what? So that you can have evil done to you all the time and not receive the worldly gain and the carnal garbage and seek those things with the heart, give up those things, not working for that, not seeking that, not doing something for that intention and reason like the whole world's doing. Man, it doesn't seem like there's any incentive unless someone's actually seeing the true blessings and receiving them. Because to the wicked, it's not going to look like anything at all. It's going to look foolish. I need money in my hand. Duh. Can't you see? What do I get? What do I get out of this? How much? Always demanding. So if it's $1 more, that's enough at times just so that the God man can be right. If something is $500, the buyer is going to say $450 every time. The other one gets angry and says, no, for $500, $450, $500, $460, $490, $4, and someone will literally fight and rage over saving a penny, $1, just as long as they're right and the other is wrong, just as long as they got the control that they think they're getting and they're not actually. It only looks like it. They need to think they're in control. I'm the last one that told you what to do. Now Messiah says, go and do this all the time. Do what they ask you. Do what they want you to do, if it's not evil. That's going to be disgusting and gross to the old man to do this, to do good to the enemy. The enemy wants to play around with you and is playing games, asking you to do something, mocking you, chewing you like a dog does a toy. And that's what they're doing, and watch their delusion happen in reality as you do what they want you to do, and watch them fill up with rage for doing what they asked you to do. You're getting angry and filling up with rage because I'm doing what you asked me to do. Why is that? Why are you getting angry? For doing what you asked me to do. Someone says, why are you doing that now? You asked. Speaking in truth now, not the delusion. Oh, so you meant something different. You didn't actually mean what you said. You were deceiving me, trying to. Are they going to be able to admit that? No, I didn't say that. Didn't say that. He can only sell that image. He falls back on what he said, the words, whatever he asked. Whatever that is. He said, I said that. Plays this sick game. It's only deception. Gets angry if you do what they ask, and it hates you if you don't do what they ask. What kind of delusion is that? Who wants to be in that the rest of their life? That's not good. Believers should want to not be that anymore. That would be very good, because the unbeliever never wants that in their heart. It's the truth. If someone has this want, that is a proof. That is a good sign that they are of the Father, that they do believe, because the devil cannot want this in the heart. It can look like it. It can sell that it wants to look like that, but it can't actually want these good things. Can't. So if somebody really wants these good things, then that is a good sign. That is a good thing, because only a true believer would want that. Because where in his word do we read an unbeliever wants the Father's way and things to do his works? It's foolishness to them. That's what we read. It's foolishness to them. In their heart, always speaking about what's real, not the image. Not speaking about what something looks like and what someone sells. What they ask you with the voice. If they get exposed, they'll say, I didn't say that. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did, and you're going to be judged as if you did, because the Father's judging your heart, not your stupid trick, not my stupid trick, not some stupid image. Yeah, you did say that. But Sarah says, I did not laugh. The Father says, but you did laugh. Yes, you did laugh. Saying I didn't laugh isn't going to fix it now, God, man. The Creator's the Creator. He says to the worm down there, man, you're no Elohim. You're just a farmer with the rake in your hand. Like we read something like that, you'll say to yourself, you're just a farmer, just a no good for nothing farmer. Who am I? And does it matter what this thing is? Does it matter if someone's not a literal farmer? No, it doesn't. What does it mean? Just a lowly man that's stupid and a sinner. That's what it's meaning. No good. The pride's coming down. It's becoming lowered. The mountains are being leveled. And when someone's leveled by the Father, then he'll lift them up. And that's not fun to be leveled. It's pretty painful. fact, it's the most painful thing that there is his whole entire way. Difficult, pain. Why did Messiah cry out with vehement? Is that how it's pronounced? Cries. Vehement. I don't know. It's not a word I ever say, but probably will more now that I've read it recently. And it stuck out to me recently. When did Messiah do that? I mean, did he go and make a show for that? Let me go and cry out and scream and cry out to Elohim because of whatever incredible tribulation is at the time, whatever difficulty. I'm going to go and do this so that I look righteous. No, Messiah says, do your works in the secret. Not to do those works with the intention of the heart to show off and make self look righteous. That's what the sinners do. That's what the unbelievers always doing, to cover that they're not righteous. They have to do that because they work out of sin guilt. They always work out of sin guilt at all times. It's working out of guilt. That's not good. Who wants to be free from that? The Father can make someone free from that, but it won't happen in one day. And nevertheless, it's true. Someone will be free, be made free. But it'll be being made free continually until someone is free and freed. Until the captives are freed from Egypt fully, like we also read. Till the captives, how does it read? Till I bring back the captives. I think it said like that. That final reward, the resurrection of the dead, being made new fully, completely, finished, now being made a new man now, but being made a new man to come in the resurrection, being made completely new, taken out of Egypt completely. It's not going to be that complete thing all the way up until the end. Anybody that teaches otherwise is a liar and a deceiver. And the end is the beginning, because there's no time in sleep, in death. There's no time. There's no sleep. I mean, there's no time in sleep, in death. Kind of like falling asleep in a deep sleep. 1 minute, 1 second later, 10 years later, doesn't matter. It'll be as if it was 1 second. Who believes that? That's not as bad as it's not going to be as bad as it was in the beginning, less and less, to overcome death itself. Isn't that what Messiah's people have victory over? Death? Is that what we read? Overcome the death itself, besides sin and death itself and the fear of it. It's what we read. To overcome the fear of death that always gripped everyone, their whole lifetime, the apostle says. All their lifetime, it's gripped them. It's had a stranglehold. It's had a hold over everyone. That would be everyone. That's what it is first. So then when someone acts like they're not afraid, they're liars instantly, because no one calls the Creator a liar. No one calls my Creator a liar. It's not standing. That person's a liar, not the Father, of which they imply he's a liar by saying, I'm not afraid of death. Oh yeah, you are. Yes, you are, liar. And I lied too. But it's time to stop lying. People can't be lying. Now, the way of a believer should be that they are overcoming it. Is it going to be overcome in one day? That one scripture, the fear of death? No, not in one day. But it should be getting better, should be growing. Because if the Father, if he's growing in us and his Spirit is growing in us, we read that fear, it has torment, because fear has torment because love is not perfected. The carnal, cowardly fear, Fear of death would be an example of this carnal fear. The no good fear. The fear that people want to put on people all the time so that they fear them. That's what fear is to the wicked judge, to the unjust judge. Evil fear is what people want others to have on them. It's sick, it's confused, it's messed up. There's so many different languages. It's a mess. It's a madhouse. But love casts out fear. So perfect love casts out all fear. So the more someone grows, the more of this no good fear they overcome, which means they're overcoming death and the fear of it also. That can't be bought or sold. That can't be put on a carnal scale, literally, and bought and sold. That's way too valuable to be put on a literal scale. Doesn't even compare. It's an abomination to try and say it does, let alone what the harlot does to all of his word. It's truly shameful what people are doing, and they don't see it. They don't want to see it. The heart really is crooked and evil. It doesn't want to see it. It's biased. It's partial. It doesn't want to see it. Always in sin, always working out of sin guilt, always in slavery to sin, always following the command of sin, never able to be freed from it, always worshiping the image of the beast and following according to the image. Watch someone that's popular and rich and famous worship the image. They can't do otherwise. They have to do certain things, and all of those things are evil that they have to do with their heart. That's slavery to sin. It's a slave driver for it. While it goes and says, I'm free. No, LeBron James, the king, is not free, and he's no king. Messiah is the king. Did they mock this? Yes, they did. If they love LeBron, that means he's wicked. Because the true king was murdered and hated by this world. If he's loved by many, he's wicked. He's a deceiver. He's a liar. It needs to be said what someone is. Not because he's worse than someone else, or I'm better than him, or this or that. Not because of that, but because it's true. Because anything else is the lie. That's true. Not the king that the Father speaks of for his people being kings and priests. Not that king. This carnal, lowly, worthless king on earth. Like kings of the earth or kings of a basketball kingdom. You know, it's their kingdom. It's their little kingdoms. Their reward is right now. This is their reward, to be in death and slavery to sin. They have their reward right now. Look, see, says, look, they have their reward. They have their reward already, and it's death. It's not what it looks like. They're racing 1,000 miles per hour within. They're constantly in insane unrest. They have to do everything they're doing. They can sell and lie all they want that it's because they want to do it. I chose that. Really? Pulling off that same old lie over and over again. Telling self even, it chose this. It wants to do this. It has to do all of its evil. It has to conform to the image of the beast when it's behind the camera. You can't speak bad of someone's image, or else you're going to be slashed by all the fans, the worshipers, and your image will be tarnished, and then that person will go down. So unless someone wants to go down, they better be worshiping the image very carefully. You can't do what you want behind the camera. You do something, the devil's coming after them. The devil's coming after his own. If it messes with the image of the beast, it's coming to kill its own self, its own brethren, because it's actually against itself. There's no true love. 1 minute, two people look like they're the best buddies. Next minute, they're competitors fighting each other, fist fight on the court when they were teammates for years and years. None of it's real. They can't love each other. They're in deep sin, and they very much worship and love money and themselves. No one that worships money can have the Father in them. Just for that alone, they're unbelievers. Being on a stage is a hypocrite. And hypocrite means stage actor also, is one of the meanings that anyone can look up in Strong's in the New Testament for hypocrite, stage actor. The moment someone's a stage actor, they're a hypocrite already. It's over. They're not a believer. A believer can't be a stage actor and a hypocrite the rest of his life. Even though a believer knows that's who and what they are themselves, to acknowledge that they are. Who believes in actual forgiveness? I don't see it anywhere. I'm looking. I'm not finding it. But I'm not talking about the image and what the church world created in the image of forgiveness. I'm talking about who actually has forgiveness, who actually believes the Father forgives and does not condemn us because we're still hypocrites. That those works need to be brought out some more and corrected and the evil destroyed further, that it's not perfect yet. Who believes there's a way to still be a sinner that's not perfect yet until that end, but working towards it, not working towards it, but working towards it. And there's no condemnation for someone that believes and is a sinner, that still sins. Not that they're seen as a sinner by the Father now, but who and what we are, that Adam is always going to be a sinner all the way to the end. That never changes. Adam doesn't change. He needs to die. The new man is new. It's a miracle. It comes from him. It's new. It's like a newborn. The baby's new. So Adam is the old man, and being a new creation in Messiah is the new man. From above, from the Father. That's what's growing. Messiah teaches to ask for the Spirit. Believer to ask for more of his Spirit. Isn't that a strange thing to ask for people for Pharisees and Sadducees out there? Do they ever ask for more of his Spirit as if they are lacking? Because they don't believe that they're lacking anything. They're already there. They're already finished. They already have their reward. They already made it. They already came out of Egypt, were saved and done. They're not actually learning and growing anything. They're already at the end in their mind. See, that's not reality. It's not real. Implying as if it just went from a seed to a giant tree in one moment, in one day. But it's a lot worse than that, and it's still that. That's not the way. So the Father doesn't condemn his people that believe. But now it will seem like it because of this or that, because this judgment, because of the judgment for this sin, this thing we did, this mistake, this thing here, this thing there. Because of something being difficult and hard. Therefore, the Father is condemning us automatically. That's a war to get to the truth of the matter. It's a war to see no one actually cares about you at all except the Father and Messiah and a few believers in this world that are given that ability and truth, true love, truth. Nobody else in the world is going to care. Then the works will prove it, whether they do or not. Whether they have love or not will prove it. Their works will prove it. If you love me, keep the commandments. Yeah, that applies for every believer too. Someone says they love you, but remembering those words, thinking, if you love me, and that's what the person says, like the world does all the time. They say it all the time. Keep the commandments. Prove it. If you do evil to me while you say you love me, then you're a deceiver and a hypocrite, a liar, a murderer. You hate me. While you say you love me, that's the devil right there. He hates you, but he says he loves you. He hates me, but he says he loves me to pull me in so that he can destroy me. so that I could be destroy myself. And that's how that evil is working through the enemy. Nasty. Something like a serpent. What this heart is, what this wickedness is. It's quiet, it's smooth, it's sly. It does this so that it can creep up on someone and destroy them and bite them, kill them. It's why it's smooth and sly and creepy like this. Who believed it? Whoever believed it. That's why a snake is smooth and creepy and crawling like this. Just gliding along quietly so that it can destroy its prey, to kill you. The enemy would like to destroy everyone. And it doesn't get much more wicked and foolish than the enemy wanting to destroy his own self. So then that's the judgment. That's the condemnation in unbelief from above. This is the condemnation. He who believes is not condemned, but whoever does not believe is condemned already because they did not believe in the true Messiah. We're not supposed to condemn anyone from our heart. It's true that an unbeliever is condemned already. They are in a condemned state because the Father made it to be so. Sinner is condemned already. To come out of condemnation is to believe through his way. That's it. There's no other way. The mystic's way, of which they accuse of being mystic, the gurus, their ways don't work. And do they make a lot of profit out of it? Is that their goal? Doesn't matter how much the dollar amount is. That's not the discernment. Is that their heart, though? Is that why they're doing it? Someone has to pay them for healing? Well, that's a sign that that's a scam. And that's being real nice about it, at least with words, with how it sounds. They wouldn't like that. But, a snake and a hypocrite would be a little bit harder for words. It would be true. That's what the heart is. That's why Messiah called them serpents, the religion, because they claim to believe. That's a big claim. And all that evil that's done to people, serpents, vipers, they take pride in that. Those symbols are everywhere. See if it isn't so, that it's just putting out what it is within its heart, outwardly manifesting. Serpents everywhere, pigs everywhere, the image of the beast through these pictures of what it's coming from within somewhere. That serpent, that beast, that unclean thing, that venom. Businesses and stuff are called venom. Spider stuff, all these things are connected to creatures of the night and poison and darkness. Owls, yes, they like owls because it's a night creature. What does it do? It sneaks in and goes down and takes its prey through a trick, through not being seen or heard for coming. It takes its victims and chews them up. That's why they like owls, because it's who and what they are, the leaders of this world, and not just them, anybody that doesn't believe. But they are worse, though. They're worse. It's true. They've fallen deeper. They're in a worse condition. They're even deeper in darkness, the people that are up there, higher up the pyramid scheme. The more someone grows in the worldly kingdoms, the more destroyed they are, the more people they have destroyed and deceived. That's how they got their position. Who believes it works like this? That's how it works. The devil sucks you in like they show in their movies, and it's all fun and games, and next thing you know, that person's a dead person. They're screwed. Don't they even show that in the movies? Manifesting that wickedness happening within on the outside for an image to sell. They're talking about who and what they are, and they wouldn't believe it if it were told to them. Why do they make it? Well, they'll have their reason. It's entertainment because we like making art. Oh, and for money. That's what it's going to be, but that they don't understand the question. They can't answer it. Why is it that? Why is it that specifically? Why do you do that? Why does that fascinate you? They won't be able to tell the truth. They won't. They cannot speak the truth from their heart. Whatever their heart is, it cannot speak at all. Just already knows how to do evil. It's pretty frightening. Adam and Eve is already hell-bent on evil. It's the truth. So then doing our own works is foolish, because we'll do foolish works, evil works. Do not labor for the food which perishes, but for the food which endures to life, everlasting life, which the Son of Man will give you, because Elohim the Father has set his seal on him. There's two foods. See, there's food in there twice. Which one is which? What's the good and what's the evil, and what's the difference? Which one is which, and what's the difference between them? How do we know which one is which and what each one is and how it works also? That's what we get from him. No one is gonna, no carnal thing on earth is gonna give that to someone. That must come from him. Through Messiah, he gives all things. That's it. It can't come from anywhere else. The truth. Now, this is not meaning what someone would think it means. That happens to be so here also. So even the first one, do not labor for the food which perishes. Doesn't it sound like to just not do anything at all as far as worldly things, as far as, I don't like calling it that, but because how do I put it? The things that the Father knows we need, are we supposed to just give up and do nothing forever? Well, each one has to find out what the Father's will is for them. But is this the meaning, though, to just do nothing now and just become a burden on someone? Don't have some kind of job? No, it doesn't mean this. That's not what it means. And what kind of heavy yoke and burden is that if someone were to just command this to someone and say, this is what you need to do? Can you imagine the destruction it would cause them if they believed it? If they believed that carnal command? If that's what they did with this, they read it and they say, I choose this scripture now and I ignore all the others, plus a couple others. Another denomination chooses these scriptures to only literally look at, and not literally only read, but literally only look at to command others to do in this kind of way. And another denomination doesn't look at those. They don't even know it exists at all. And they choose a couple other verses, and that's the kingdom to them. Oh, there's so much to that, and it doesn't sound like it with how I said it. It's huge. There's so much to that. It's bad. It's real bad how blind. Never underestimate how blind self can be, and others also. All people, but self first. Never underestimate how blind you can be, and I can't do the same either. Can't underestimate it. There is no limit, seemingly, how blind someone can be about in anything, in all things. Just, I don't see a bottom. It could be as bad as badder than bad. The good, bad, the ugly, it's worse than the ugly. With how they use his word, especially, lying, false prophet, false teachers, false believers, false everything. That's false everything that's good. How they cherry pick things and twist his word and twist the scriptures to their own destruction. and destroy others also along with them. It's incredible how bad it is, how evil that work is. And the works of the devil are evil. They are evil. It's nasty, no good. Blinder than blind. Only using scriptures in an evil way for their own self-gain constantly, and teaching people how to sin. So then someone might command this, tell you what it means, which means, okay, you need to stop your job right now and do what I tell you. See, and if someone just stops their job instantly, they got tricked into believing that they're doing the Creator's will through a carnal command, through actually getting worshiping the man that's commanding by believing him and obeying the carnal command instead of the Creator. And literally doing something, it's a command, because the carnal man will not command someone to do nothing. They don't see spiritual things. So when a carnal command is sent out, it's to do something. You do something. So in this, physically, you stop your job, that's like doing something, that's what you can see naturally and hear with your ears naturally. The moment someone obeys it, they go in heavy destruction and are further deceived than whatever was already. It gets worse. That's the job, is to keep them in the same prison that they're in. The raging false prophets at the pulpit want all those people destroyed just like them, and they take comfort that other people believed their own lie, their specific lie, their specific denomination. They take comfort in seeing all those people destroyed. Yes, they do. That's going to be too much at some point in the beginning to hear these words and see them and know what they mean, and whatever is too much, the Father will just not, we just won't see it. We'll be blind to it until the proper time. And then he'll remind us, we'll be blind to it if it's too much. He doesn't give too much. We can't handle it. Can't handle it so bad. It's so bad, no one can handle it, but we have to handle it. But he builds us up first a little bit, to see a little bit, and that little bit someone sees, he gives to handle it. Then when that's good, he'll give a little more to see. Now that someone sees a little more, they will accordingly receive more to handle. So whatever is way too much for anyone, they won't truly see the way they need to see it, and that protects them. It's actually some kind of mercy that's working too, which is pretty stunning how it's all working. And someone wouldn't think that naturally, but it's actually protecting them, because they wouldn't be able to handle it. It's too much. It would be too much. It would crush us. Let's go to the verse where Messiah teaches this, and I'm probably going to have to type something in to try to find it. Go by memory. Try to remember what the words are. You cannot bear it. John 16:12. John 16:12. Okay. Well, who would believe this too? I'll read a few verses before that verse. It's not too much here. These things I have spoken to you, that you should not be made to stumble. That's the intention. That's the real reason. That's the heart of Messiah, so that someone doesn't stumble. They will put you out of the synagogues. Come out of her, my people. Yes, the time is coming that whoever kills you will think that he offers Elohim service. Is that deception or what? And these things they will do to you because they have not known the Father or nor me. But these things I have told you, that when the time comes, when the time comes, you may remember that I told you of them. And these things I did not say to you at the beginning, because I was with you. But now I go away to him who sent me, and none of you asks me, where are you going? But because I have said these things to you, sorrow has filled your heart. Nevertheless, I tell you the truth, it is to your advantage that I go away. For if I do not go away, the Helper will not come to you. But if I depart, I will send him to you. And when he has come, he will convict the world of sin and of righteousness and of judgment. This is working. The Father's things are working. Of sin, because they do not believe in me. Of righteousness, because I go to my Father and you see me no more. Of judgment, because the ruler of this world is judged. I still have many things here it is, I still have many things to say to you, but you cannot bear them now. Cannot. Is Messiah going to do something that someone can't bear on purpose to them and force it on them? No. That's putting a heavy yoke and burden. Messiah doesn't do that. His yoke is easy, his burden is light. And that's how the Father will work. He'll guide someone in a way that's always keeping that, even if we can't see it yet, that's so, that he's keeping it. He will make it so it's not that he doesn't dump the heavy yoke and burden himself. People do that. Father's way, that he doesn't do that. He's not a hypocrite. He doesn't do what he hates. He doesn't say, to not envy, and he envies himself. He's not a hypocrite in any way, shape, or form. Many things to say to you, but you cannot bear them now. Doesn't that sound prideful? Try me, God-man, as they accuse him of being the creator and Elohim falsely. It's what they are. Try me. They are falsely, that is, not actually Elohim. Or are you saying I can't understand? Try me. What do you mean I can't bear them? I cannot. There's nothing I cannot do. Get that cannot word out of there. There's nothing I cannot do. See, that's what the carnal heart is right there. And Messiah has no evil intention in him, but how easy it is to condemn, or not condemn, to accuse him always. Well, it's easy to condemn too. Yes, both, just the same. How easy it is to accuse and condemn. How quick someone doesn't see and they accuse and condemn someone and do evil in their heart towards them. Messiah is not speaking this out of pride. This is the only truth. He knows. And he knows it. It's not like those sayings that don't mean anything in the world, just empty words. This is the only truth he knows. He actually knows it. However, when the Spirit of truth has come, he will guide you into all truth. If someone can get someone to believe that this is false, they're winning already. They're deceiving that person and destroying them. They will be destroyed. It'll destroy them if they believe the opposite of this and are told and commanded to believe the opposite. What did Messiah say? He will guide you into all truth. To believe it. Not believing it is the destruction, is the faithlessness that people will try to put on you. Now, that's all someone is first, his faithlessness. But once again, we have to grow. in all things. But if we see someone doing this on purpose, that's all they do, that's their works, that they're somehow secretly doing this. You see the work in the heart that they're secretly doing this somehow, or openly, that would be easy to see. That's evil. That person's destroying people. That person doesn't believe themselves. That's why they're teaching others not to believe. When he, the Spirit of truth, is coming, he will guide you into all truth, for he will not speak on his own authority. I think that's an added word here, italics, but he will not speak on his own, but whatever he hears, he will speak. Messiah doesn't speak on his own ever. Messiah didn't speak on his own. Whatever he hears, he speaks. That's faith. That's receiving from the Father whatever he's hearing. And he will tell you things to come. That's prophecy. He will glorify me, for he will take of what is mine and declare it to you. All things that the Father has are mine. Doesn't that sound prideful? Therefore I said that he will take of mine and declare it to you. Messiah is not speaking pride. It just sounds like it. That's it. He's not speaking pride and evil. The one that said, of myself I can do nothing. Yes, Messiah taught that the Father gives all things, that all things come from him. That's mine are things that the Father's given for real. It's really his now through the true way. There's a way for it to be his without pride. There is a way that someone can say it's mine without any pride at all. And that's not something the world can do, because it's theirs through pride. Not given, it's theirs in their mind through pride, through a deception, whatever it is. That's pride, their own. It's really their own in their own mind from themselves. Messiah's not doing that. He knows this is given. That's why it's his, because it's given. If someone gives someone, I don't know, a bottle of water, now that person could say, this is my bottle of water, in the truth without pride, or he could do the evil. He will declare it and declare it to you. A little while and you will not see me, and again a little while and you will see me, because I go to the Father. Then some of his disciples said among themselves, what is this that he says to us, a little while and you will not see me, and again a little while and you will see me? Doesn't that sound isn't that why we're reading this? Because it's bringing out that it sounds contradicting to the disciples. They said among themselves, what is this that he says to us? They're asking in their own selves, to their own heart, what is this? A little while and you will not see me, and again a little while and you will see me. How could someone say this and not be a contradicting, lying fool? Well, there's a way, because Messiah is speaking a truth that the disciples obviously are not understanding at this time about this. They're not seeing it. It's not the Father's word that's stupid. It's this. These are who are stupid. The disciples are stupid, not the Father, not his word. The carnal man is a fool. And then again, his people are not stupid, and they're not to be called fools. Both are true at the same time. They are fools and they are not fools. If they don't believe what I just said, how could they believe Messiah's words? And how could they believe this word? It's the same understanding about something else, a little different. The old man's always a fool. It's to see self as that, but not calling a believer, another believer, a fool out of wickedness, because we read, about calling a brother raka or fool. I think that's the word. is in danger of the judgment. Yes, that what? Just to say the words of, no, not just the words, not to do that in the heart, to call a brother a fool. It's going in dangerous territory, because that's not just calling a believer that out of evil like people do to each other in this world. That's calling the Father and Messiah a fool in our heart. And that's not safe territory. That's going to require a judgment. That's why Messiah says they are in danger of the judgment. So we have to find some kind of other way besides doing evil and calling someone a fool. Have to find a way how to do what we need to do without doing that. They said, therefore, what is this that he says? A little while, we do not know what he is saying. Now Yehoshua knew that they desired to ask him, and he said to them, are you inquiring among yourselves about what I said? A little while, and you will not see me, and again a little while, and you will see me. Most assuredly, I say to you that you will weep and lament, but the world will rejoice. Oh, how is this sounding good? Almost as if the believer's getting punished for their sins or something, judged. Well, this is not an easy thing to see. It's not going to be what someone first thinks. Nope, it's going to require more denial of self to love whatever the truth is, and have that old man die a little more and give up and let it go. Stop fighting. Stop wanting that old thing. Stop trying so hard to keep it, to save that old soul. It needs to be put down. And you will be sorrowful, but your sorrow will be turned into joy. What will their rejoicing be turned into? A woman, the world's rejoicing. What's that being turned into? And what's sorrow? Elohimly sorrow, godly sorrow. It's good for repentance, which leads to righteousness, peace, life. As the apostle Paul said, your sorrow will be turned into joy. A woman, when she is in labor, has sorrow because her hour has come, but as soon as she has given birth to the child, she no longer remembers the anguish for joy that a human being has been born into the world. Well, this is also the promise for the end also. Once again, the very end of the believer's life, then the resurrection. The very end will be the utter fulfillment of this. Like when someone's truly born. So then we're born, for those that believe, they're born again from above, and they will be born in the age to come. Therefore you now have sorrow, but I will see you again, and your heart will rejoice. And your joy no one will take from you. There's no thieves and robbers in heaven, and moth and rust and corruption. No one will take. Now, if someone can think it, imagine it, imagine an unbeliever trying to apply these words to themselves. It's not going to mean anything to them. How? How is it going to mean anything to them? Did they ever see him at any time or hear from him at any time? Did they ever have the true joy if they're an unbeliever? Or false believer, rather, more specifically? And your joy no one will take? They only see sorrow when they read this because it's not true for them. I'm saying what their heart will see. Assuming someone is a false believer, an unbeliever that does not know the Father. There's no faking real. they were to read these words and try to believe them, it's like trying to encourage yourself, trying to say, faking everything, all of it, instead of denying self to receive the good things. But the narrow way is difficult. Those good things aren't going to come from doing nothing. It's difficult work. The one that doesn't work doesn't eat. It's what the apostle said. Let them not eat if they do zero work. If that's their heart, does it matter how much work they're doing? No, not if the heart is right. First a little bit, then a little more, then a little more. Doesn't matter how much for a believer as long as their heart is right in this way, as long as it's true and growing. There's no wicked man's going to say you need to do this and this and this and this much to you, to any believer. They don't have that authority. Only a believer is supposed to be hearing from the Father and Messiah what to do. That's the authority, not someone else telling them what to carnally do like that. Evil, trying to destroy them, trying to control them through destroying them. And once someone obeys someone's carnal command, they're destroyed further. Now that person's more easily controlled than they were, before. It's even worse. And that's how a deceiver deceives someone and tries to control them. It's sick. No, they can't take this. The enemy can't ultimately take this, and that's what we need to believe. If indeed someone does have the true joy, no one will take from you. How can the enemy understand these words if it never had the true joy at all yet? Never. What does that mean to them? It can't mean anything to them. You can pretend and try and fake it all. It doesn't mean anything. Fake it all till someone's blue in the face. It means nothing. No one can fake it till they make it. It doesn't work. They have sorrow and lamenting and destruction in their heart when they read this, because when they read it, there is no joy in them. And in that day you will ask me nothing. Most assuredly, I say to you, whatever you ask the Father in my name, he will give you. In that day you will ask me nothing. Is this the day someone truly believes? Did I ask anything in the beginning? I can't remember doing so with any kind of clarity or sight. Does a baby even know how to ask for anything, or is it just crying, just needs milk? How does a baby know what to ask for? Doesn't it have to understand enough to understand how to ask a question? That's going to be pretty offensive to someone that sees nothing, to a false believer, because it's like implying with an image that someone's a dumb baby, which is that's their heart. That's what that means to them, because their heart is evil. It doesn't mean that. That's what they revealed their heart means. Whatever someone accuses, they are guilty of their accusation themselves. If it was evil, if it's a carnal, evil accusation, guilty of the very thing they accuse themselves. Just reverse it and apply it back like a mirror. His word is like a mirror, we read, of someone's own face, speaking about you, me, speaking about all those people in the church world, all of them, speaking about everyone. Until now you have asked nothing in yours. Until now you have asked nothing in my name. Ask. What now? For what is he saying to do? Until now you have asked nothing in my name. Okay, if that's so for somebody, ask, and you will receive, that your joy may be full. These things I have spoken to you in figurative language, but the time is coming when I will no longer speak to you in figurative language, but I will tell you plainly about the Father, in spirit, in truth. In that day you will ask in my name, and I do not say to you that I shall pray the Father for you, for the Father himself loves you, because you have loved me and have believed that I came forth from Elohim. came forth from the Father and have come into the world. Again, I leave the world and go to the Father. His disciples said to him, See, now you are speaking plainly and using no figure of speech. Now we are sure that you know all things and have no need that anyone should ask you. By this we believe that you came forth from Elohim. Yehoshua answered them, Do you now believe? Do you now understand? A little bit of carnal overzealousness and still some pride in there. Well, a lot. That's what everyone's going to do. And it doesn't have to be about these words. It's what the disciples are doing. What these words mean is what people, believers, will do or have done already. Will do in the beginning for sure. And along the way, as someone grows and learns what it means and starts to cease doing whatever's no good and start doing the good. Do you now believe? Indeed, the hour is coming, yes, has now come, that you will be scattered, each to his own, and will leave me alone. And yet I am not alone, because the Father is with me. These things I have spoken to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. So much for saying something about there being no tribulation, saved from it. In the world, the true Messiah, you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. What a difficult, hard, narrow way. It's not soft at all in that kind of way. Difficult. It's all kinds of things all at once. I think that's it. Oh, what is it now? Well, it is morning officially now. 7:23. Ugh. Doesn't look so good to like sleep a little bit in the day now. That's when to start taking a little bit of rest. Yeah, that doesn't look good. I see that it doesn't. Stay up all night. Definitely doesn't look good. Yeah, a lot of the apostles' words. Someone is seeing it. See this thing of the difficulty of trying to speak of what his people see. If they're not looking at it with partiality and being blind to it, and even on purpose, not even having a clue, not asking, not wanting to, and see some of his writings, just that alone, how often it sounds like he's contradicting. It does look like it. It really does sound like it. That's going to be a problem forever with the harlot. They have no answer to that. So they have to lie and say that he's not contradicting, that it's not what we read is not contradicting, when it is. So often the letters contradict and they say they don't. Lie. Now the truth makes his word sound and look bad by calling that a lie, that they lie, that it doesn't contradict, and say, yes, it does contradict. And it sounds like we're against his word. No, they are. They're masqueraders. Who believes it? They're the one that hate his word. They don't believe in his word. That's why they have to make themselves look good all the time and say it doesn't contradict. They're in prison. They can't speak the truth. They can't say it contradicts, that for fear of their image. That's what makes them righteous in their mind. Who's going to believe this? Who's going to believe someone that says his word contradicts is a believer? That's foolishness to them, but of course it truly doesn't. But it does, because it does with the letter so often that kills, but not in spirit, not in reality. It doesn't contradict. Someone says, you just contradicted, and they claim to believe in Messiah. Really? What I just did contradicted, so you believe Messiah is a contradiction, and all his teachings are. Would you like to see a few verses and tell me if you don't believe that Messiah's words you say you believe? Tell me that you don't believe they contradict now, and watch them be trapped with no answer and nothing to do. Someone's going to do a desperate work. They're going to do something that's just unbelievable, that makes no sense, because it's working out of desperation. It cannot do the truth. It will do anything except that. And it being a person, just easy to say. And, we do read it actually. Yes, even Messiah speaks in that way at times. You can find it. Yeah, I think he calls what, a baby an it. Is he really calling a person an it, as the wicked would apply that you do? Well, because 99.9% of the people that would talk like that use it for evil, it means that it's 100% to them, because they have no discernment. They can't see what the heart is doing. They can't see, they're blind. It's a guess. It's a shot in the dark on a good day in the night. It doesn't know whether it's true or not itself. Well, that's pretty evil, to make a judgment and accusation that someone doesn't even know for sure whether it's true or not themselves. So now we can't be doing that. If we don't know either way for something, then to be quiet and say nothing. And there's a way to do that until the answer is there without sin. But someone always in unrest, always working in haste. They need boom, 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 boom. Need an answer now. Boom, 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 boom. Make something up, create a lie, do evil to someone. Boom, 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 boom. Shoot him dead. Boom, 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 boom. Next. Boom, 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 boom. And they kill people. Would they like to say that they're not killing people? What do you mean we don't kill people? People that kill people go to prison. Yeah. Yeah, the harlotry is in a prison, in a cage. Messiah came to set the captives free from prison. The spirit is in prison. Came to set the captives free. That's right. Someone that kills is definitely in a prison. That's right. No doubt. But that's not why they said those words, is it? No, it's not. See how the exact same words can mean two completely opposing, opposite, different things. exact same words, depending on why it was said, what's coming out of the heart and why. That's what everything, that is everything. That's what matters. Their mouth, they honor me with their mouth, with their lips and mouth they honor me, but with their heart is far from me. What does that mean? It means they will work towards, they will even create the image, they will look like on purpose with their mouth that they honor him. With their lips, that means someone's talking it and someone's speaking it. That means they make themselves look like it through their mouth. They do it with their words. But their heart is far from me. Who can see the difference between an unbeliever and a believer, between light and darkness, between good and evil? Well, then I think I'll stop here now. Therefore, the law is holy, and the commandment holy, and just and good. We know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin. For what I am doing, I do not understand. For what I will to do, that I do not practice, but what I hate, that I do. Who's ready to acknowledge these words in their heart and see them? Not false believers, not unbelievers, and so on. All right. Peace, take care, seek truth.